I truly cannot discern who the real player is. Is it him or Q? Suddenly, there was a knock on the door of room 777, causing everyone inside to become alert. I'll go, the magic officer said, rising. He tread lightly across the wooden floor, step by step, until he reached the door. Peering through the peephole, he saw a figure outside, an old man. Is anyone there? Bush called out. Rest assured, I come alone, without any entourage. The magic officer turned his head, instinctively glancing at Han Li in the corner, having already identified him as the backbone of the team. He himself was merely a temporary enforcer, as if silently asking whether to open the door. Han Li nodded in affirmation, prompting him to unlock it. If there were truly police outside, they would have barged in by now rather than leisurely waiting at the door, he reasoned. With a creak, the door swung open, and the magic officer brandished an axe, standing menacingly to the side. Bush, stepping inside, was startled. There's no need for that, young man. I come unarmed. I presume this is the illustrious magician? The elder replied. You are mistaken. He is the one. Han Li. Bush awkwardly adjusted his clothing and smiled gently. I presume that someone capable of such magic must be of advanced age. Truly, heroes emerge from the youth. Your command of the Chinese language is impressive. Are you considering pursuing postgraduate studies? Ling Han interjected. Bush appeared taken aback. Postgraduate studies? What is that? Bang. Behind them, the magic police slammed the door, blocking the old man's exit, threatening. Old man, how did you find this place? In an instant, Ling Han felt a chill run down his spine. Indeed. How did he track them down? Bush, unfazed, casually searched for a chair and seated himself, calmly surveying the crowd as he declared, that is of little consequence. What matters is that you are all doomed. Doomed? How could that be? We are exceptionally brave. Ling Han thought the old man was spouting nonsense. The next moment, however, Han Li slapped his face, explaining, fool, if he discovered this location, how far could the police be? The magic police raised an eyebrow, non-committal. Bush smiled knowingly. A clever one. Damn. Ling Han anxiously rushed to the side, opened the window, and peered down onto the street. His heart raced in shock. Indeed, several police cars had quietly parked below. At that moment, armed officers began to exit their vehicles one by one. There were even command vehicles emblazoned with FBI insignia arriving. Similarly, a group of armed agents commenced sealing off the street. They extinguished their lights and sirens, approaching the apartment silently. So many officers. Bush remarked, let us negotiate. I can help you navigate this crisis and return safely to China, provided you disclose the identity of the person behind you. Bush crossed his legs, exuding an air of triumph. At present, he was the only one capable of rescuing them. Meanwhile, the officers were likely already on their way up. There was no choice left for the magician. Ling Han glared fiercely at this seemingly benevolent old man. His heart was as dark as night, a dagger hidden behind a smile. This was no negotiation, but outright coercion. Time ticked away, each second heavy with tension. The viewers in the live stream began to feel anxious. Han Li did not respond, but instead took out a deck of playing cards, smiling as he said, I heard you specialize in unraveling magic tricks. Coincidentally, I have been practicing a small trick myself. Would you care to assist me? He fanned the cards and selected one. Bush, internally scoffing, thought it absurd to perform magic at such a moment. Had he lost his mind? He declared, the King of Spades. Drawing a card, he stated, an old trick. This must surely be the King of Spades. Bush immediately exposed Han Li's trick, having witnessed such minor feats countless times. He could discern the outcome even with his eyes closed. However, when he picked it up, he was astonished to find it was not the King of Spades. What? Han Li pointed to the left pocket of Bush's clothing, playfully suggesting, perhaps it resides in that pocket of yours, Mr. Bush. Bush glanced at his chest pocket, incredulously retrieving a card, but it was not the King of Spades. Instead, it was a small card inscribed with a few words. It read, get lost. Oh. Bush's face flushed with heat. He realized he had been played. Take your time leaving. He scoffed, stomping his foot and slamming the door behind him. I'll be waiting for you at the police station. That scoundrel. Downstairs, the sound of police footsteps echoed. Chapter 172. A direct confrontation. Who else is there? Clatter, clatter. Bond, armed and accompanied by the head of the FBI, inquired, how are you faring? I am quite the professional. The FBI agent replied, asserting that such situations were trivial and merely a showcase for him. What about Polo? He claimed to have an upset stomach and is keeping watch below. Unfortunately, there was no elevator. They had to ascend floor by floor. Approaching the 7th floor, they grew ever closer. Inside the room, the group, informed of the emergency, remained composed, not flustered. Once the bothersome old man departed, Ling Han closed the door, his previously anxious expression transforming into one of calm. He gone, Mr. Han. Bang, bang, bang. A strange noise erupted from the side. It was the magical officer wielding a hammer, relentlessly striking the wall. Viewers of the live stream were bewildered. What is going on? In the next moment, the magical officer struck fiercely, shattering the wall and revealing a hidden passageway. Goodness, it's hidden so deep. Well done, mister. Han had this planned all along. Just moments ago, I nearly thought we were trapped. My heart could scarcely take it. No one expected that this room concealed a direct passageway below. Ling Han and the others began to gather their belongings, preparing to descend through the opening. Mr. Han. See you later. Indeed. As he spoke, Hanley sent his companions down one by one, then moved a nearby wooden board to cover the hole. Aren't you leaving, Mr. Han? I see, using disguise techniques to slip away as an old man. Those upstairs were quite impressed. Meanwhile, outside the door, the sound of meticulous footsteps approached. Hanley glanced at the entrance, knowing the police had arrived. Let the hunt begin. In the next instant, his figure vanished without a trace. Outside, Bond awaited the breathless FBI agents. Shoot, keep it quiet. The FBI agent drew his weapon, and as Bond initiated the countdown, he kicked open the door, shouting, FBI. However, he was met with an empty room. Bond stepped inside, searching for any potential clues left behind. Let me check the kitchen. The FBI agent casually closed the door behind him. Unbeknownst to him, Hanley silently perched on the bookshelf, watching as the FBI entered the restroom. Once the coast was clear, he followed closely behind. The FBI surveyed the kitchen, sharply noticing remnants of food on the table. They just left not long ago. In the next moment, Hanley tapped him on the shoulder. Hello there, sir. The FBI agent turned, stunned. Bang. What the? A punch landed, nearly knocking the FBI agent unconscious. Are you a boxing champion or something? But this was just the beginning. As Hanley took advantage of his bewilderment, he deftly maneuvered around him, ensnaring the cuff of his sleeve, and began to entwine it with his hands as if wielding a whip. What are you doing? The FBI agent exclaimed in terror, finding his hands immobilized. In that moment, realization dawned upon him. He watched as Hanley activated the pump, drawing his sleeve directly into its grasp. The force of the pull ensnared the FBI agent, rendering him utterly helpless. His eyes widened in horror as he prepared to shout, but was met with a punch. Bang! The FBI agent collapsed, unconscious. Hanley, problem solved. The entire ordeal transpired in mere minutes. Viewers in the live stream gasped at the spectacle. Incredible! What is this? A direct confrontation. Someone exclaimed. No joke, that punch from Han would likely kill me. Hanley taunted, FBI, is that all you've got? Let me tell you a joke, FBI, ha ha ha. To everyone's astonishment, Hanley had chosen to confront the FBI head-on, and the excitement was palpable. Suddenly, Bond, having heard the commotion, approached with his weapon drawn, only to have a damp towel unexpectedly whip through the door crack, knocking his gun from his grasp. Bond gritted his teeth, feeling the sharp pain. What on earth? Is that a whip? He wondered, incredulous that a mere towel could inflict such agony. Hanley emerged, masked, and waved at Bond as if to provoke him. The viewers erupted in excitement. He is provoking him. This is getting intense, brothers. The officer stated, I will apprehend you, right? Bond was no pushover. He was one of the few capable officers within Interpol. Take this, he shouted, launching into a series of grappling maneuvers, but despite his strength, he could not land a blow on his foe. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't even grasp the hem of Hanley's clothing. Are you a monkey? Stop. Ultimately, he felt like he was being toyed with. What a disgrace. After all, he was an Interpol officer. Without further ado, Hanley delivered a swift kick to Bond's chin, sending him sprawling backward. Coughing and gasping, Bond rose, only to find his radio missing. He looked up to see Hanley holding it, grinning. So what if you have it? Without my orders, the officers below will heed no one. They should be arriving shortly. You can't escape. Hanley retorted, I have heard that phrase countless times. Officers always say the same. Then, to Bond's astonishment, Hanley adjusted his voice, gradually mimicking Bond's tone perfectly. He picked up the radio and spoke in Bond's voice. Attention all units. The magician has ascended to the 9th floor. Proceed to the 9th floor. Received. On the other end, a large contingent of armed teams accepted the message, bypassing the 7th floor and proceeding directly upwards. Within the room, Hanley tossed the radio into the nearby fire. And that is how it's done, officer. Boom. Bond's eyelids twitched violently, as if struck by lightning. Have you lost your mind? What else can you possibly do? Farewell, officer. Hanley turned and walked away. Bond was about to pursue him when he stumbled, realizing that his shoelaces had somehow become entangled. To his surprise, he found he had even fashioned a bow. Goodness. Poirot exhaled a puff of smoke, glancing at a female clerk who was diligently recording information. I wonder how Bond and the others are faring. He turned to the clerk. Are you an assistant? Yes, I am quite inept, merely capable of clerical work, she shyly replied. Poirot nodded in understanding. At that moment, a sudden commotion erupted nearby. The magician has escaped. Quick, pursue. What? Poirot looked over just in time to see a man wearing a silver mask dart past him, heading straight for a car parked by the street. Hanley jumped into the vehicle, started the engine, and turned to the pursuing officers. Can you keep up, officers? Boom. Poirot's veins bulged with anger as he exclaimed, Where's my car? Get in, officer, came the response. Buzzing. The female clerk had somehow taken the driver's seat, her face flushed. Can you manage? I'll give it a try. Just as Poirot settled into the car, it took off. Chapter 173. A sudden accident, catastrophe? In London, on the bridge, Hanley sped down the road, leaving the officers far behind. He glanced in the rearview mirror and muttered, Is that all? Boom. In the next moment, a police car, lights flashing, was hot on his tail. Damn it, slow down. Poirot gripped the handle tightly, staring in shock at the calm clerk driving beside him. Is this what you call inept? We're practically airborne. Hold on tight. We're about to catch up. Make way. The clerk shouted at the surrounding vehicles. One by one, the cars begrudgingly yielded to the police pursuit. Meanwhile, a helicopter hovered above, capturing the entire scene. The host adjusted his hair and spoke to the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently following an exhilarating chase. Will the officer manage to apprehend the magician? We will provide continuous live updates. On the internet, there was a frenzy as London netizens flooded the chat with comments, exclaiming that this was even more thrilling than a movie. The magician will surely slip away. Nonsense. The royal officers are invincible. Goodness, the police are right behind. Han Li raised an eyebrow, relishing the challenge. He noticed a large truck making a right turn ahead. Gripping the brake, he focused intently and turned the steering wheel. Just as Poirot's police car was about to catch up, Han Li skillfully executed a drift, slipping past the truck just in time, leaving all the drivers in stunned silence. Boom. The female clerk had to slow down, which was truly unfortunate. The drivers witnessing this spectacle were so captivated that they forgot they were still driving. My goodness, that was a Canadian drift. Mother, I have encountered God. My goodness. He was so striking that I had to capture the moment. The host aboard the helicopter soared over the bridge, skillfully filming Han Li's textbook-level Canadian drift, leaving everyone agape. Is such a feat achievable by mere mortals? The crowd erupted in astonishment. Who else could match this? A warning was issued. 4 stars were awarded. The police chief exclaimed. Is this a scene from Fast and Furious? However, Han Li's extraordinary maneuvers did not succeed in shaking off Polo and the others. Catch up to him, Polo commanded. At that moment, near the construction site on the bridge, a black car came to a halt. A man, picking up his phone, spoke. Sir, I have located him. What shall I do next? Let him taste some pain. What to do? The man tucked away his phone, his eyes bloodshot, his voice menacing as he declared, Han Li. Who told you to ignore my warnings and provoke us from Yingzhou? You're courting death. With a roar, the vehicle surged forward, driving against the flow of traffic, startling those nearby. Soon, he spotted Han Li's vehicle, catching a glimpse of the masked man inside. Indeed, it was Han Li. He pressed the accelerator, unleashing the car's full speed, aiming straight for Han Li's vehicle, heedless of his own safety. The sudden turn of events caused chaos on the road, with cars colliding left and right. What on earth is happening? The helicopter host noticed the bizarre scene unfolding on the long bridge. He squinted, his mouth agape, as he saw a car driving against traffic, seemingly intent on crashing into the magician's vehicle. Good heavens! What? It did not appear to be a police car. While the host observed, Han Li was acutely aware of the peril, yet he had no time to evade, as the oncoming car approached at breakneck speed, threatening to collide with him. It was not a police vehicle. It was determined to ram him. Did he hold a grudge against me? Pushing that thought aside, Han Li slammed on the brakes, slowing the car down, and glanced at a bus that was moving slowly beside him. An idea formed in his mind. Han Li die? Shouted the Yingzhou assassin, eager to make this Huaxiao man pay dearly. Suddenly, a flash of light struck his vision, blinding him momentarily. What? He was forced to shut his eyes, yet his grip on the wheel remained firm as the car continued its reckless course. When the white light faded, a loud bang erupted, followed by a cacophony of collisions. The man, still unsatisfied, pressed the gas pedal, pushing Han Li's vehicle further along the road. The car was sent flying, tumbling in midair before crashing heavily to the ground. Polo, witnessing the spectacle, was left in shock. No way. What is happening? Han Li's car has been hit. It was not a police officer's doing. This could end in tragedy. He hastily exited his vehicle, rushing towards Han Li's wreck. From the mangled car nearby, a bloodied Yingzhou man crawled out, grinning wickedly as he collapsed to the ground, utterly unconcerned about his injuries. His gaze fixated on the overturned vehicle he had just struck. Laughter erupted, a cacophony of mirth ringing out, yet it was tinged with a sense of inevitable justice. This was the consequence of provoking the notorious Yingzhou. On the helicopter, the host wore a mask of silence. Events had unfolded too rapidly. Ladies and gentlemen, though it defied belief, the magician's vehicle lay in ruins, and it was presumed that he had perished. His final words were too painful to utter. Baliuo, observing the catastrophic scene, felt a twitch in his eyelids, unable to fathom the condition of the individual within. However, when he crouched down to peer inside, his eyes widened in disbelief, as if he had encountered a specter. How could this be? In the driver's seat, there was no one. He had fled. Baliuo muttered under his breath. The Yingzhou assassin beside him was momentarily stunned, his lips twitching as he protested. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I saw him crash. With a snap. Baliuo retorted, Kid, you're under arrest. Damn it. With that brain of yours. Only in Yingzhou could this happen, Baliuo remarked as he lit a cigarette, suspecting that the magician had once again performed an escape act. A few minutes later, Baliuo awaited the tardy arrival of Bond and the FBI team, who were all visibly perplexed. Damn it, this magician should be dead. He truly possesses magic. This document was retrieved during our search, Bond said, preparing to hand a blueprint to Baliuo, only for it to be snatched away by a man. The group was indignant, demanding, Who are you? This is our FBI's most successful international officer in recent years, sent to assist us by headquarters, the FBI head explained apologetically. Rafai interjected. I will take over this case under the authority of the FBI and the Queen's decree. I hope for your cooperation. What? Boluo was furious. Had he been sidelined? I was already halfway through this case. This magician is quite elusive. You cannot handle it alone. Enough, Officer Boluo. I am not of your ilk. To me, this magician is merely a thief hiding behind a facade of magic, unworthy of consideration. An FBI agent chimed in, not long ago, Mr. Rafai dismantled a notorious drug trafficking operation and apprehended 7 of the world's most wanted criminals, thwarted a hacker scheme, and saved the vice president of M-Country. Boluo was taken aback. They were after a sum of money he had been tracking for a long time. The proceeds of a criminal syndicate located not far from the Queen's District. Rafai, with an air of arrogance, scoffed. Their target is this money. Ha! Mere thieves. You may take your leave, Officer Boluo. With that, Rafai and his team departed. Boluo sighed, shaking his head in resignation. With the Queen's orders in play, he was left powerless to act and had no choice but to withdraw from the case. He gathered his belongings and left. Bond suggested, hey, why not grab a drink? Aren't you going to confront that Rafai? I can't stand him. In a concealed room, Han Li held his phone, speaking into it. Q, once the deed is done. I want his address. Certainly. Hanging up, Han Li's eyes turned cold. Today, the Yinzhou assassin had come seeking trouble once more, and this time, they were intent on lethal action. The tension was palpable. He could not rest until he exacted his vengeance. Mr. Han, the live broadcast is about to commence. In a swift motion, Han Li donned the attire of a magician, adorned with a silver mask, and smiled at the camera, announcing, Dear viewers, I am about to embark on a remarkable endeavor. Chapter 174, Assault, Capture the Magician. Han Li proclaimed to the camera that he would be performing his final act atop a rooftop in London. Countless netizens inundated the comments with fervent enthusiasm. The last performance? How unfortunate. Will he reveal his identity? It must be spectacular. This brief video instantly ignited a frenzy, rapidly circulating across various online platforms. Before long, it reached the hands of the police chief. At a bar, sulking over drinks, Beyond the Lookout and Bond watched the performance, exchanging glances of disbelief. A preview of the criminal? Madness. Bond pulled out cash to pay the bartender, stating, Keep the change, come with me. Me? Boluo, still savoring his last sip, was abruptly ushered away. They hurried to the police station. Inside the precinct, chaos reigned as everyone had viewed the video and was engaged in fervent discussions. Mr. Bond. The FBI chief greeted Bond, but was somewhat taken aback upon seeing Boluo accompany him. He is with me, Bond asserted, presenting his Interpol credentials. Thus, the other party could not protest, as they all shared a common objective. This arrogant fellow is clearly attempting to divert our attention. The plan remains unchanged. This video has just been released, which signifies they are about to act. Raphael declared. Everyone move out. At a large factory, a group was busily transporting piles of cash. While a man shouted, Hurry up. Inside there is a colossal safe, overflowing with money. We cannot afford to shortchange Boss Sachi. If even a single cent is missing, you'll lose your fingers. A fierce-looking man with tattoos urged them on. Suddenly, he noticed a black van slowly approaching. Who called for this? I don't know. I'll go check. The van stopped, and a man emerged, clad in a silver mask and a tailored suit. The viewers in the live stream were bewildered. Where's this? And why do those people look so menacing? Ha ha ha, what a weirdo. Get the hell away. The man spoke provocatively, adopting a threatening demeanor. This was not a situation for outsiders, and he aimed to intimidate the intruder. However, this individual was evidently undeterred. And if I don't? Han Li replied. Then you are undoubtedly courting death. The man brandished a small knife, licking his lips with a sinister grin. Holy hell, it's really a gang. Did he just walk into their den? It's a knife. In a flurry, some henchmen rushed out. At this moment, even the backstage crew monitoring everything was left dumbfounded. Is this for real? Han Li, it's dangerous. Get out of there. Don't lose your life. The staff in London could scarcely believe that this Chinese man had the audacity to provoke a gang all on his own. Is he out of his mind? The madman. Surely he cannot genuinely consider himself a criminal. Can he? Quickly, contact the police chief. The life of the contestant is paramount. Previously, Han Li was struck by a vehicle, and their hearts nearly ceased. This time, hesitation is not an option. However, the staff of the Huaxiao production team remain remarkably composed, unperturbed. Unperturbed? Have you lost your mind? Your people are in peril. Why do you remain so calm? An expert invited by the production team exclaimed, This contestant is bound to meet a grim fate. Call the police immediately. Very well. The staff observed the frantic Y-country individuals, unable to suppress a smirk. Soon, you shall grasp the situation. On screen, who is courting death remains uncertain. My people are formidable, Han Li remarked. Oh, where is he? The man appeared arrogant one moment, but the next, before he could react, a powerful hand emerged from the vehicle, grasping his neck and lifting him effortlessly. What on earth? Then, a tall, imposing figure exited the vehicle, tossing the man aside. The henchman was startled, clearly facing a tough opponent. Han Li is in your hands now. I am not your tool, the demon police declared. This is part of the plan. Every time, you say the same. The demon police wielded a shovel and charged at the henchman without hesitation. Truly, the demon police live up to their name. Not only are they formidable, but their ferocity in combat is unparalleled. 10 minutes later, without exception, all the henchmen lay defeated, while only the demon police remained standing. "Spare me," one henchman pleaded. "Damn it, this person is a monster. Does it not hurt? Is that all?" Han Li smirked. "No way, brother. Foreigners are not accustomed to taking hits." Little did they know, the staff behind the London production team were left in a state of shock. Did he just single-handedly take down over 10 gangsters? Am I not watching a movie? Incredible. The London staff collectively turned their gaze towards the composed Huaxiao staff, their expressions filled with admiration. Heaven, Huaxiao individuals are so formidable. This is more exhilarating than the police chief's exploits, isn't it? The expert could not help but exclaim. It is unimaginable that he remained so calm in front of so many knife-wielding gangsters. It does not seem like his first encounter, does it? To be honest, this contestant Han Li has apprehended over 40 thieves for the police chief in Huaxia, dismantled a criminal gang, and even aided in the eradication of the Angels in City C, rescuing an entire aircraft as passengers. Each revelation sent shivers down the spines of the London staff. The downfall of the Angels is related to Han Li? The expert was utterly astonished. That is an internationally notorious drug trafficking organization, and he managed to bring it down. It is simply unbelievable. Good heavens, any one of these feats would cause a sensation in London. He must be the nemesis of criminals. The envious gazes from the Y Country staff filled the Huaxiao personnel with an inexplicable sense of pride, unconsciously straightening their backs. Meanwhile, as Han Li dealt with the last henchman, he spoke, "Leave this to me." Before the magical officer could take action, Han Li abruptly seized the man, pressing his head down with one hand, whispering, "Next." As soon as the words left his lips, Han Li snapped his fingers, and the man suddenly awakened, only to become dazed. He had been hypnotized. "Why did you leave him?" The magical officer inquired, perplexed. "To lure the inspector," Han Li replied. The two entered the factory, where an enormous safe awaited them, evoking immense shock. "How much money is this? What a fortune! Wait, to whom does this belong? China or country Y? Han is impressive. Hurry. Let us grab the money and flee." The audience realized Han Li was after this vast sum of money. Now, they simply needed to transport the money from the safe. "We're going to get rich." Yet, just when the viewers anticipated the familiar scene of transporting the loot, Han Li abruptly shut the safe, slamming it shut with a resounding bang that astonished countless viewers in the live stream and stunned the production team in London. What does this mean? Once, God opened a door for me, and I personally closed it, leaving money behind. What kind of operation is this? Han Li glanced back as Ling Han was unloading pieces of mirrors from the vehicle. Mirrors? Chapter 175. Shocking everyone. The magician deceived them all. Each mirror was crystal clear, capable of perfect reflection, revealing exceptional quality. However, despite their brilliance, what was the purpose of these mirrors when transporting cash and opening the safe? The audience was left bewildered. As events reached a critical juncture, Han Li abruptly terminated the live stream. Han is messing with my mind. Damn it. Those who misinterpret this will meet a grim fate. This is unacceptable. We're almost there. Upstairs, what are you doing? The viewers vented their frustration through the comments, questioning the purpose of those mirrors. In the London production team's backroom, one staff member remarked, "He is so willful. This has happened several times. Should you speak with him?" "Ahem, actually. We need to be more tolerant," another suggested. "I know this well. Every time Han operates like this, it indicates something significant is about to unfold. I have a premonition of a major event." Amidst the bustling streets, people turned their heads to gaze at the fleet of police cars racing by, an impressive sight. It was the first time they had witnessed such a multitude of police vehicles. Inside one of the cars, Raphael was giving orders to the inspector beside him. "That old fellow is quite confident," Bond remarked. Originally intending to enjoy a period of rest, Poirot responded impatiently, "It has nothing to do with me. Don't you wish to personally apprehend that magician?" After all the turmoil over the past several days, if anyone held the deepest resentment towards the magician, it was undoubtedly Officer Poirot. "It has nothing to do with me. Damn it, can we have a proper conversation? We're almost there." The FBI grew alert, notifying everyone that ahead lay the money laundering hub of the gang they had been tracking for so long in London. "Raphael, get out, quickly, time waits for no one." At this moment, those thieves are likely busy transporting the cash inside. They must be unaware that we had prior knowledge of this place. The nearby FBI agents were elated. Initially, upon seeing the magician's blueprint, they were taken aback, realizing the extent of his knowledge. Furthermore, they swiftly responded, racing here at full speed. The adversaries had no time to escape. Bond remarked, "These fellows possess some skills." Poirot chuckled, "Who can say?" One police car after another arrived, and numerous inspectors disembarked. With Raphael leading the charge, weapon drawn, eyes fixed ahead. What? On the ground lay several unconscious individuals, seemingly henchmen of a gang. Had it already begun? Only to conclude so swiftly? The inspectors were momentarily stunned. Sensing impending trouble, Raphael shouted, "Move in." Indeed, as they entered the premises, the worst scenario unfolded. Inside, nothingness greeted them. No massive safe. No overflowing cash. All had vanished. They had succeeded. Damn, could they truly have teleported? The inspectors could hardly believe it. Barely 5 minutes after the video was released, they rushed here, only to discover that a safe of such magnitude had been stolen. It was nothing short of miraculous. Shit. This magician is incredible. I've seen it. The inspectors took merely 5 minutes to arrive. An audacious heist. It must be magic. It had to be magic. The London netizens were in a frenzy. What had gone wrong? Raphael, pondering with his chin in hand, surveyed the surroundings. A safe of that size moved within 5 minutes was simply impossible. But if it were magic, then it was feasible. Bond interjected, "Hey." Poirot raised his phone, capturing the attention of others, including Raphael, and said, "Look at this." He replayed Han Li's statement for the group. "What's wrong? Wasn't he this in the room?" Carefully observing, Poirot pointed to a glimmer beside Han Li. This light was evidently not a video effect. Soon, as an Interpol agent, Bond pieced it together, suggesting, "Are you implying this isn't an actual room? Could it be that they disguised their vehicle as a room, live streaming while driving here?" Poirot boldly articulated this audacious theory. Conversely, it was a revelation. The astonished inspectors stood agape, as if struck by a significant blow. Could they play this game? Countless London netizens were left baffled. In an instant, the internet was flooded with large question marks. This was utterly astonishing. A textbook-level deception. Everyone had been duped. The magician, a timeless deity. Immediately, a blogger released an analysis video, confirming Poirot's hypothesis. Han Li was indeed in the vehicle, disguised as a room for the live stream. It appeared that the video had just been posted, but in reality, he had arrived at the crime scene long before its release. The inspectors were merely befuddled fools. Fools. Raphael glared at the blogger's description of him, his face turning pale with fury. "Damn it. I am the illustrious Officer Raphael. Report, officer, we have discovered a survivor. Bring him forth." At that moment, a chief, accompanied by a dim-witted henchman, approached. Raphael, fixing his gaze upon him, inquired, "Where did the group that just arrived go? Speak the truth, or I shall treat you to a bullet." As if provoked, the man slowly began to reveal their path. They headed east along the main road. The main road pursued them. Swiftly, the chiefs dashed out of the factory, leaving nothing to waste as they embarked on their chase. The conclusion was imminent. Han Li adjusted his attire, while Ling Han donned a clown mask. So who exactly is Q? Until now, apart from the magical cop, no one had beheld Q's true visage. Even President Han had only maintained telephonic communication with him. Thus, Ling Han was curious about the identity of the enigmatic Q, who secretly orchestrated everything. "Patience," Han Li remarked. "I care not for his identity. I merely understand that the criminal roleplay program is far from being as simple as it appears, and Q possesses knowledge unknown to me, which is why I sought his collaboration. At its core, it is merely a mutually beneficial transaction." Ling Han concurred, pondering whether success was assured. The outcome rested upon this pivotal moment. Meanwhile, on the highway, police cars from all directions cornered a black truck, leaving the driver bewildered. "What is happening? Ha. The net of justice is vast and all-encompassing. What was that Chinese saying?" Raphael inquired of the officer beside him. "It is loose, but not absent, Chief." Raphael nodded. "Magician, we have caught you." In an instant, armed officers surrounded the black truck, sealing it off completely. Raphael, gun in hand, led several officers to the rear of the truck. "Magician, you are inside. Take a deep breath. Open the door." Chapter 176. What the hell? Isn't this supposed to be stolen money? Why are there only Peppa Pig toys? The trunk of the truck was secured with a sophisticated lock, surely a safe lock. It must contain the ill-gotten gains. It was almost certain, otherwise. Who would transport goods secured with such a level of locking mechanism? At this moment, Officer Raphael holstered his weapon and refrained from opening the rear compartment, instead rushing to the front to inquire about the situation. The FBI officer pointed to a trembling man. "He is not the magician. Did we arrest the wrong person?" Raphael glanced at the man, pulling out his identification and asking, "What are you transporting?" "I don't know. And your employer?" "He only instructed me to transport the goods, promising me $500 upon successful delivery." Buello kicked the tire nonchalantly, inquiring, "Was that person wearing a silver mask?" "Yes." Upon hearing this, the expressions of Raphael and his team filled with elation. Unexpectedly, although they did not capture the individual, they had tracked down the merchandise. A delightful surprise indeed. "What shall we do now?" The FBI officer looked toward Raphael. This seasoned veteran, drawing on his experience, suggested, "Let us not apprehend him. Allow him to deliver the goods, while we follow closely behind. Wherever he goes, we shall go." This operation would strike at the heart of the matter. Excellent. Without further ado, the police officers promptly boarded their vehicles, instructing the man to continue delivering along the agreed-upon route. A convoy of police cars followed closely behind. Upon identifying the target, they were prepared to strike at any moment. Bond remarked, "It seems we are on the verge of capturing the magician." Beside him, Poirot wore a grim expression and sighed, "Is that so?" Meanwhile, in a factory where one officer remained, he had just finished documenting the situation and was about to depart. After taking only a few steps, a loud bang echoed from behind. "What on earth?" He turned around, his eyes wide with terror as he beheld a crack forming in the wall, akin to a shattered mirror. The fissures proliferated like an enormous spider's web, spreading with alarming speed. Ultimately, a deafening crash obliterated the wall, from which a hammerhead flew out. In that instant, the hammerhead struck the officer, who was reaching for his radio, rendering him unconscious. Behind the debris of the wall lay the massive safe that the officers had been desperately pursuing. Yet, the wall remained intact. Viewers in the live stream were left in shock. Can someone explain this? Wasn't the safe supposed to have been transported away? At that moment, a renowned Chinese magician quickly provided the answer. It was a mirror illusion. Mr. Han cleverly utilized the principles of reflection to conceal the safe, making it appear empty to those outside while it was, in fact, hidden there all along. The shards of mirrors were employed for this very purpose. Mr. Han's performance was truly astounding. Fraud, without a doubt. Han Li noted, at that moment, I simply watched the officer leave. The officer responded, what nonsense, Mr. Han. This extraordinary magic trick left many internet users in awe, as it was the first time they had encountered such an innovative method of criminality. A crime expert from a London production team felt a chill run down his spine. He quickly documented the mirror illusion. He was exhilarated, realizing that this knowledge would equip police officers with an additional layer of vigilance in the future. He was certain that London's crime rate would significantly decline as a result. Such talent. My heavens, has he ever considered becoming a professor of criminology at our university? The director exclaimed. Are you serious? Han Li donned gloves with nonchalance and effortlessly opened the massive safe, instructing Ling Han and the magician to commence their work. My bag was already yearning with anticipation. Ling Han seemed to shine with excitement, rushing forward to seize the contents. All mine. Whom did you learn this magic from? The magician marveled, pondering just how many tricks Han Li possessed. I taught myself. Do you believe me? The officer must surely think that I arranged for the goods to be transported, when in reality, I had been hiding here, waiting for them to leave before making our move, an infallible plan. Such audacity is truly unprecedented. 10 minutes later, Han Li and his companions drove away in a black van, taking a different route that led them away from the officers. Han Li made a phone call. Hello, Mr. Bush, he greeted. How did you obtain my number? Bush responded, somewhat astonished. His phone was encrypted, making it challenging to decipher, unless one were a top-tier hacker. I have heard of your penchant for unmasking others' magic tricks. Thus, I propose a wager. You will not be able to see through my illusion. Young man, do not be overly presumptuous, Bush replied. Am I not allowed to be called a young man if I do not act presumptuously? Han Li countered, prompting a chuckle from Bush. I accept your challenge, he declared before ending the call. Han Li soon arrived at his destination, an abandoned building. To his surprise, the streets were teeming with spectators eager to witness his final performance. Many among the crowd donned silver masks resembling his own, chanting, Magic Crowd. Magic Crowd? Ling Han interjected. It is a website created by your fans, filled with your loyal followers. He presented the site, boasting hundreds of members. How was I unaware of this? Han Li inquired. Because I am the president of the management committee. Ling Han replied. Damn it, the membership fee is $35. You've grown quite bold, Ling Han. Ling Han silently regretted forgetting to remove that detail. Mr. Han, your money is my money, and my money remains my own. As the vehicle approached the throngs of onlookers, it entered the building's interior. Inside, numerous devices and the latest projectors were set up. With Han Li's activation, the dilapidated structure was instantly revitalized, with virtual projections springing to life on the walls. A tall man clad in a white suit, adorned with a silver mask and a flowing cape, stood like a giant. He was the magician. Wow, this is incredible. The performance was about to commence. Many were awestruck by the imposing magician, evoking a distinctly cyberpunk atmosphere. Ladies and gentlemen, the final act is about to begin. Do not blink. With a crackling sound, flames erupted, elevating the ambience to a fever pitch. We have arrived, the driver announced, halting the large truck. The surrounding officers glanced around, bewildered. There was not a magician in sight, nor even a soul. Isn't this a desolate area? One officer mused. Goodness, we have left the city. Could this truly be the venue for the transaction? The officers were perplexed by the remoteness of the location. This isolation is advantageous. It conceals their movements, Raphael murmured. This thief is not without cunning. The FBI chief concurred. Indeed, it must be so. Bond exited the vehicle, inquiring. So, where's the contact? Surely someone must come to collect the goods? Yes, where's the contact? Raphael turned to the driver. Where is he? Who? The driver asked. Bewildered. The person coming to collect the goods. The driver replied. No one is coming to collect the goods. All the officers were taken aback. No one was coming to collect? Wait, what exactly are you transporting? Raphael sensed trouble. Let us investigate. Each officer approached the truck's trunk, only to find it locked. Reporting. I will unlock it. A professional inspector stepped forward, grasping his tools with an expression of intense concentration, preparing for what he anticipated would be a lengthy struggle. However, upon merely touching the lock, it fell open with a simple click. The other inspectors stood in astonishment, while Raphael muttered in disbelief. Subsequently, the rear door of the vehicle, seemingly unable to withstand the pressure, swung open. As it did, the officers expected to find bundles of cash, only to be met with an avalanche of pink pig plush toys. Raphael picked up one of the pink pig head dolls, his face contorting in disgust as he muttered, Peppa Pig? Damn it, we've been played. Chapter 177, The London Finale, An Unexpected Conclusion. An overwhelming cascade of Peppa Pig toys poured forth, instantly engulfing the hapless Raphael. He emerged from the pile, disheveled and bewildered, while the inspectors nearby could not suppress their laughter. Previously, this foreign federal inspector had been the most arrogant among them. Yet here he was, just as ensnared by the magician's tricks as the rest. At this moment, Raphael's composure crumbled. The poor old man, nearing 60, felt utterly defeated. The FBI turned away, for this was all he could do. Countless citizens from Y Nation exclaimed in delight, declaring the spectacle riveting, rivaling the best of films. The magician was truly formidable, appearing on an entirely different level from these inspectors. Raphael emerged from the pile of toys, his face ashen. Vaughn chuckled softly. Poirot remarked, "Now, do you still regard him as a thief, Officer Raphael?" Raphael's expression darkened, his frustration palpable. After years in the field, he had never encountered a magician as elusive and challenging as this one. What was his true identity? How infuriating it was to find only Peppa Pig toys instead of money. Without needing to articulate further, the inspectors understood they had once again been outwitted by the magician. They had unwittingly been led to this remote location, and returning would consume considerable time. The royal inspectors clenched their fists, realizing that every aspect of their situation had been meticulously orchestrated by their adversary. Turn back. Raphael's only option now was to return. If the magician had revealed his location during the live performance, they might still have a glimmer of hope. It was their only recourse. On side, they were merely putting up a stubborn resistance. Poirot stepped aside to smoke a cigarette and remarked, "A step ahead is a step ahead. The chess player must think like this." "What does that mean? Is that Chinese?" Bond asked, having never heard such a phrase from him before. Poirot smiled and replied, "I just made it up. Let us go." When the inspectors finally arrived, the crowd was in an uproar, making passage impossible. "Quick, gather everyone," Raphael exclaimed in exasperation, determined to reclaim his last vestige of dignity by capturing the elusive magician. All the inspectors followed suit. Upon reaching the rooftop, they discovered, not far off, a white figure standing there. "He is there," Raphael exclaimed, pointing at the silhouette. Although the dusk rendered details indistinct, the attire unmistakably belonged to the magician himself. "What are we waiting for? Let us apprehend him." The FBI nodded in agreement, leading their team in pursuit, seemingly affirming their suspicions. The figure immediately turned and dashed towards the edge of the rooftop. Was he about to leap? "Quick, stop him. Madness." Below, the crowd gaped in astonishment. Is he really jumping? All eyes were fixed on the figure as he leapt into the abyss. In the dazzling array of lights, the white figure unexpectedly transformed into a flurry of banknotes, cascading to the ground, provoking roars from the audience, who felt deceived once more. This is the final act of magic. Incredible. The magician, kneeling at the edge of the rooftop. Raphael trembled, clutching the railing, his eyes reflecting despair. Is this truly the magician? I underestimated him. By the way, where were Officer Bolo and the others? None of the inspectors had seen them. Only when they dispersed the crowd did they realize the ground was strewn with money, which, far from being real currency, was counterfeit bearing the magician's likeness. Damn it. Where did that money go? Raphael scratched his head, resembling a man on the brink of madness, his eyes bloodshot. What an extraordinary performance. Bush extricated himself from the throng, already having unraveled the magician's ruse in his mind. He planned to return home and deliver a crushing blow to the magician online. Nevertheless, he remained convinced that another individual was orchestrating these events from behind the scenes. At the parking lot, he had just picked up his car keys when, with a press of a button, the car door exploded open, releasing a torrent of banknotes. Almost simultaneously, the sound of sirens erupted behind him, and Bolo approached. Cursing under his breath, he produced handcuffs and swiftly secured Bush. "Mr. Bush, you are under arrest." Bush glanced at the incessantly spilling money from his vehicle. After a long pause, he uttered, "Damn." Days later, within the confines of the police station's jail, Bush perused a book when the door swung open, revealing Bolo and two other inspectors. "You all may leave, be on the lookout," commanded. "Officer Bolo, I am innocent." Bush grasped the railing, gazing at his interlocutor. "The evidence is irrefutable, Mr. Bush. There is nothing more to discuss. It is all the magician's scheme. He framed me. That performance was merely a diversion." "I know," Bush began, but suddenly halted, his gaze fixating on the composed Bolo, his eyes widening in horror. It dawned on him why the magician had so adeptly manipulated the Y Nation's inspectors. Bolo was an insider. Bolo chuckled, tearing away his disguise and removing his colored contact lenses. "Indeed, Mr. Bush, you may call me Q." Bush recoiled, increasingly astonished. "What do you want? What do you think?" "The founder of the Y Nation's crime roleplay." "Indeed, the true identity of the elder Bush is that of a concealed billionaire. The wealthiest individual in Y Nation, and one of the 13 founders of crime roleplay, representing Y Nation." Initially flustered, upon hearing this title, Bush's demeanor swiftly transformed into one of indifference. "This is all a scheme you and that magician devised against me," he struggled to fathom. It was unfathomable that these two individuals had orchestrated everything from the beginning, with the ultimate target being himself. Two lunatics. "If you refuse to engage in trade with me, you may find yourself imprisoned for life. Do give it a try. My wealth surpasses that of the Queen. However, prior to that, you do indeed possess the right to negotiate with me." Bush stood before Q, grinning malevolently. At the Y Nation train station, Han Li sat on a bench, perusing the Global Daily, which featured an article about his exploits. The magician has become a legend. No one can capture him. What splendid weather we have today, remarked a man clad in leather who sat beside Han Li. How shall I address you, Polo or Q? Han Li folded his newspaper. It makes no difference. Your mission is complete, and this is your reward. With that, Q handed Han Li a note along with a mysterious envelope. Everything you wish to know is contained within. Han Li tucked away these trophies and inquired, what about you? What will you do next? Q rose, gazing at the bleak London sky, and replied earnestly, brother, the war that belongs to us is about to commence. With that, the former top figure from Huaxia hurriedly departed. Han Li pondered this statement, contemplating the third phase. He first opened the note, which contained the current address of the founder of Yingzhou. Although he was uncertain how Q had acquired this information after the events in London, Han Li found it unsurprising. Does this old fellow intend to escape? The next target was the Chuan Island train. Revenge. Chapter 178. The Train Robbery. Han Li returned home with his spoils and disclosed Q's true identity to the long-awaiting Ling Han. For a long time, Ling Han was unable to find tranquility, continually muttering in disbelief. During this time, Han Li opened the envelope handed to him by Q, which listed various countries alongside their corresponding scores. It resembled a competition between nations, where the accumulation of points depended on their contestants committing crimes in other countries, thus earning criminal points. Conversely, criminals from other nations arriving in their country would compel the police to take action. The more arrests made, the more formidable the contestant, and the higher the points awarded. Whether contestants or police, all fought for the honor of their respective nations. After absorbing this explosive new rule, Han Li couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. This meant that the program's higher-ups covertly represented their nations, and the nation with the highest score could acquire wealth through the exchange of points obtained from other countries. This wealth possesses the potential to elevate an entire nation, overshadowing all others economically. Such a notion is utterly astonishing. Upon reading this letter, others felt the winds of change. Mr. Han, is it true that we are fighting for our country? Ling Han inquired, perplexed. The elder was taken aback for the first time. Which dynasty is this, China? The older generation places immense value on national honor. Han Li responded, currently, we are third. Damn it, that won't do. We must seize more. The elder exclaimed, exhibiting a rather fierce demeanor. Well then, it seems you've mustered some spirit at this moment. After much persuasion, the elder calmed down. The group spent a few more days in London, acquiring local specialties, before preparing to depart. Han Li had previously promised the elder to pursue his own affairs, and Ling Han, feeling concerned, decided to accompany him. Thus, the group split into two factions. The elder and Ling Han sought vengeance, while Han Li also pursued his own vendetta. Upon arrival, they communicated via phone. Rest assured, Mr. Han. Han Li watched as the elder and Ling Han departed, purchasing a plane ticket for himself to Yingzhou. A constant stream of assassins appeared, risking their lives. This indignation could not be tolerated. 3 days later, in Yingzhou, at a certain dock, Han Li transformed into a middle-aged man, standing still and gazing into the distance, awaiting a rendezvous with a ninja. Han Li? Startled, Han Li smiled and remarked, it seems you have learned well. In the next moment, a figure emerged from the shadows, clad in ninja attire, with piercing eyes and hands forming seals. It was indeed the last ninja to survive alongside Han Li during the Night of the 100 Demons. I heard you open a ninja dojo? The ninja inquired. A trivial matter. What brings you here? If not for their prior acquaintance, he would not have come personally. I seek vengeance. A minor task. Simply tell me who, and I shall resolve it for you. The ninja replied earnestly, seemingly sincere. This could be considered a repayment of favors. Han Li stated, the Emperor's brother. The ninja was taken aback. What? Are you serious? That is the Emperor's brother. And so what? Just tell me if you will assist me. Han Li would not flinch due to this relationship. An eye for an eye. This is a principle the people of China would never compromise. The ninja held his forehead, conflicted, as this seemed to be a matter he should not involve himself in. After much contemplation, he finally said, I can assist you discreetly. That will suffice. By the way, could you provide me with some manpower? The ninja asked. How many do you need? A dozen or so. No problem. After bidding farewell to the ninja, Han Li ventured alone to the train station indicated on the card given to him by Q. The area was sparsely populated, and it was said that the next train would not depart until the day after tomorrow. Sir, we have yet to commence operations. I apologize, but I lost a valuable item here earlier. Could you assist me in locating it? Upon seeing the money in Han Li's hand, the staff member smiled. Thank you. Consequently, under the enthusiastic guidance of the staff, Han Li thoroughly familiarized himself with every corner of the train station. In his mind, in a lavish mansion, the Emperor of Yingzhou paced anxiously, disturbed by news of his brother's entanglement with the enigmatic Han Li from Huaxia. Your Majesty, what shall we do about this? Murmured an attendant, for no one dared to underestimate Han Li. The last time, he had indeed attempted to assassinate the Emperor. Rumor had it that Han Li had been struck by a vehicle yet emerged unscathed, a truly terrifying notion. This cannot stand. I must contact the production team. However, despair washed over him as he realized that since Han Li's arrival in Yingzhou, he had closed his live stream, rendering him unreachable. What a calamity. Meanwhile, within a dojo, over a dozen ninja apprentices sat upright, their gazes fixed on their master, who slightly bowed his head. Upon noticing Han Li standing behind their master, an air of solemnity enveloped them, and they rose in unison, exclaiming, "Mr. Han, we are honored." Han Li regarded the ninjas with curiosity. "Is this your arrangement?" One ninja, slightly embarrassed, replied, "The ninjas of Yingzhou have come to idolize you." "Ah, I see, a fan club." In all, the apprentices gazed up at the man who had single-handedly vanquished the Kamikaze Brigade. "My idol at last," they thought, revering him as a living legend. Han Li, unfazed and exuding confidence, unfurled a blueprint and declared, "Gentlemen, this time, we shall rob a train." The apprentices erupted in excitement. "This is peak action," they exclaimed, their adrenaline surging. "Remember, it is imperative to adhere strictly to my instructions. Understood?" "Yes," they chorused eagerly. Under Mr. Han's guidance, the ninja observed the fervor of his students, feeling an inexplicable mix of jealousy and inadequacy. "Mr. Han, what is our target?" they inquired. Han Li pointed to a specific carriage, noting its uniqueness compared to the others. "First, we must weaken the police presence." By the end of this operation, the apprentices' eyes lit up, blood coursing with fervor, their hands trembling with anticipation. "As an aside, should anyone disobey, I will be the first to eliminate them." Han Li radiated an aura of a hardened criminal, his gaze sharp as a blade sweeping over the apprentices. After countless encounters with crime, Han Li's presence intensified. Even the ninjas who had previously worked with him felt a sense of trepidation. The newcomers, however, were engulfed by fear. The man before them existed on an entirely different plane. Chapter 179. What kind of life are you leading for a few thousand a month? After hearing their assignments, the apprentices gaped in admiration. This is the genius of crime, they thought, marveling at the meticulous detail of each step. If they hadn't witnessed it themselves, they would never have believed such audacious criminality was possible. Simultaneously, Han Li reactivated the Huaxiao live stream, and it exploded with excitement. Robbing a train? What a novel approach. The backstage of the production team was rife with tension as staff approached the director, requesting that we disclose Han Li's location from Yingzhou. The director, tilting his head, feigned ignorance, replying, "I didn't hear." How infuriating. We must protect our own. However, given the stringent security checks, Han Li and his associates could not possibly bring weapons aboard the vehicle. Before he could finish his thought, the scene revealed Han Li stealthily entering the Yingzhou train station with numerous bags in tow. In full view of the online audience, they proceeded to bury a series of dark packages. The director, witnessing this through the screen, felt a chill run down his spine. Good heavens, what a genius. How did he evade the surveillance? The train station had been thoroughly compromised. The viewers in the live stream were abuzz with curiosity about the buried items. What could they be? Could it be guns? Unbelievable. My dear Han, he managed to bypass security and hide them along the tracks. It seems the crime prevention manual will soon have another entry. Before long, Han Li and his team had completed their preparations and departed without a backward glance. The following day, they executed their plan. After Han Li spoke, each concealed apprentice sprang into action, blending into the crowd as they boarded the train. The viewers in the live stream, eagerly anticipating the heist, were particularly excited for the grand theft to commence. It has begun. This is monumental. Why isn't Mr. Han on the train? From his hidden vantage point, Han Li watched a mysterious group escorting an elderly man onto the train and smiled faintly as he melted into the crowd. He took his position in a command vehicle, ready to oversee operations. This time, he was the commander. "Mr. Han, I've spotted several police officers." One apprentice reported. "I've counted 2 here. How vexing." The police presence has unexpectedly intensified today. As Han Li listened to each apprentice's report, he jotted down notes. The police force appeared to be 3 or 4 times greater than anticipated, which posed a challenge. Meanwhile, inside a private compartment, the founder of Yingzhou sipped hot tea, flanked by a dozen burly bodyguards. "Our security measures for this trip are impeccable," he remarked. "Indeed, quite satisfactory." The man dismissed his guards, instructing 2 Yingzhou ladies to attend to the elderly gentleman properly. "Oh, what a shame that the Huaxiao man survived," the elderly man grumbled, a surge of anger bubbling within him. Fortunately, the assassin would not disclose his plans. For safety's sake, he decided to travel abroad to evade the spotlight. He deliberately chose the most ordinary train, ensuring that his departure would go unnoticed. "Han Li, I will eventually eliminate you." As time ticked away, the Yingzhou police patrolled incessantly. Han Li had discerned their general timing and began issuing commands. The operation commenced. In car 3, a robust Yingzhou man abruptly stood, delivering several heavy blows to the face of a nearby Yingzhou woman. "Wake up, you fool!" The Yingzhou woman, bewildered, responded with confusion. In an instant, the two erupted into a quarrel, drawing the attention of nearby officers. "Officer, he struck me. You know how serious that is for me." "Silence." The inspector just intervened when, unexpectedly, another brawl erupted in the adjacent carriage. I heard that someone even brandished a knife. Fearing for lives, several officers refrained from patrolling and rushed to control the scene. "Quick, send reinforcements here." Instantly, the carriage became a cacophony of chaos, with fighters, onlookers, and those inadvertently caught up in the fray, all in disarray. Observing the situation, Han Li remarked, "That's enough." In the previously tranquil fifth carriage, 5 apprentices abruptly stood, synchronously claiming they needed to use the restroom, when in fact, they intended to retrieve the weapons they had prepared a few nights prior. During a brief lull in the fighting, they successfully acquired specially crafted firearms. The train was in peril. The apprentices donned the masks essential for bandits, all uniformly adorned with pink pig motifs. With stealth, the occupants of the fifth carriage managed to traverse the top of the train, bypassing the soothing inspector, and made their way to the foremost carriage. Upon leaping down, the first apprentice produced a jammer created by Han, severing the signals in the area. The other robbers followed suit. Witnessing this, the passengers fell silent. What? They had guns. One staff member attempted to call for help, only to discover that the line was dead. Even the alarm system had ceased to function. What on earth? A robber deliberately spoke in a chilling tone. "If you wish to live, behave." Bang. As he spoke, the trailing robber forcefully shut the main door, sealing their fate. The passengers in Ingzhou gasped in shock. "Come here." Following Han's orders, the robbers seized the staff member, coercing the driver to open the door. The driver, with no other choice, complied. Once the robbers entered, they had completely dominated the train's most critical aspect. In less than 5 minutes, it was astoundingly swift and direct. No time for chatter, they got straight to business. Han Li nodded in approval. Well done. The audience in the live stream grew exhilarated. Such thrilling scenes had not been witnessed in ages. Was this not more thrilling than magic? Damn, the blood of a bandit within me is awakening. One apprentice addressed the hostages. "Now, pass these weapons over." Before them lay a box of arms. The hostages trembled, fully aware they were merely props, yet still frightened to the core. "Otherwise, I'll blow your head off." Is this for real? One by one, the Ingzhou individuals, under the robbers' watchful eyes, transported the cache of weapons to various carriages. In each compartment, lurking robbers emerged, seized the firearms, and proceeded to the rear. What was most egregious was that they slaughtered indiscriminately as they advanced, showing no mercy to the terrified fleeing hostages. Soon, the Ingzhou inspector learned of the robbers and was taken aback. What the hell? The robbers were hijacking the train, and they had weapons. How did they bypass security checks? Damn it, they even brought machine guns. A police chief, adorned in vibrant paintballs, stumbled forward, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Run for your lives." The sound of gunfire erupted. Bang, bang, bang. The other officers gazed in horror at their fallen colleague, then turned to see the armed robbers behind him, brandishing machine guns. It was over. Indeed, when the officers, armed only with small handguns, confronted these heavily armed assailants. The tide of battle swiftly turned against them. The gunfight was fierce, and the police suffered significant losses, retreating without even noticing the apprentice who had previously quarreled with an elderly woman, now grinning sinisterly. Then, with a loud shout, he flung open his coat, revealing a detonator and activating the makeshift bomb strapped to his body. The viewers in the live stream gasped in shock. "How ruthless!" exclaimed one, while another remarked, "This is a high-stakes game. It's terrifying." The officers, upon witnessing this human bomb, were nearly paralyzed with fear. "Don't come any closer. Retreat," they shouted. But retreat? The robbers were right behind them, leaving them with no escape route. The police finally realized that the train carriage had only 2 exits, both blocked by the robbers, effectively sealing their fate. Regardless of the circumstances, they were doomed. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the train, detonating the entire carriage. Han Li, comfortably seated in the command vehicle, set down his radio and listened to the symphony of chaos. He sighed, pondering the worth of a meager salary in such perilous circumstances. Every officer from Ingzhou perished. Chapter 180. Not a single passenger left unscathed? This is madness. Hearing the commotion outside, the elderly founder grew anxious, pushing away the woman beside him and shouting at his bodyguards, "What is happening outside?" "It seems there's a gunfight," one bodyguard reported. The founder's eyelids twitched. Gunfight? Had they encountered robbers? How unfortunate. No, something was amiss. There must be a trick at play. Quick, send a few men outside to investigate. A few bodyguards pushed open the door, armed with real weapons. The moment they opened it, a barrage of gunfire erupted, leaving them momentarily stunned. What? Paintballs? They soon realized that the projectiles were not real bullets, but rather specially designed paintballs for the production team. Before the bodyguards could fully comprehend the situation, a black object rolled into the room. "Is this fake too?" one exclaimed. "No, that's real. Drop it. Back away, back away." The founder's eyes widened in terror as he recognized the unmistakable shape of a grenade. In an instant, panic ensued among the bodyguards, who attempted to flee, only to realize they were aboard a train. Where could they escape to? Jumping off? No, they cried. Boom. The grenade exploded, enveloping the area in smoke. Who is it? Who's responsible? The elderly man staggered to his feet, his vision blurred. In the next moment, he was knocked unconscious. An apprentice turned and declared, "Time's up, prepare for extraction." Yes. At that moment, the apprentice controlling the train brought it to a halt and stepped out of the control room, addressing Han Li. "What should we do with the remaining hostages?" "Eliminate them all. Leave not a single one alive," Han Li commanded from the back of a large truck, following the train closely. "Remember, we are ruthless bandits." The apprentice took a deep breath. Understood, Mr. Han. He then turned away. He raised his firearm and ruthlessly swept away the hostages before him, accompanied by an elderly man bound in a hood. The group leaped from the train under the terrified gazes of numerous police officers. Awaiting their arrival was Han Li's welcoming party. How infuriating! They had escaped. The large truck sped away, vanishing into the wilderness. On the train, the hostages and officers were all adorned with paintball marks, presenting a scene reminiscent of hell on earth. An entire train of people had been eliminated. A young man seethed with frustration, although it was merely a show. The thought of an actual train full of casualties was unfathomable. How ruthless these bandits were. No, they were no mere robbers, but fierce criminals. Their operation was meticulously orchestrated and executed with alarming speed, leaving no opportunity for defense. Conversely, the elderly folk from Yingzhou appeared unfazed, exclaiming, "Wow, these young men are quite formidable." One even quipped, "Goodness, he just shot at my head. How outrageous. You officers seem to be utterly incompetent. How could you allow them to board the train with AKs when I was prohibited from bringing a simple razor? How disgraceful for Yingzhou." Embarrassed by the elder's remarks, the officers of Yingzhou bowed their heads in silence, consumed by shame. "What are you standing there for? Call for reinforcements." Soon, the Yingzhou Police Department, since being retired by Han Li, had Officer Mu Mu assigned to the most leisurely position of answering calls. And now, the phone rang again. "Moshi Moshi, what is it?" "The train has been robbed." "Oh, a robbery? How much was taken?" The officer pondered, replying, "No money was stolen, only a person." "Thank goodness." It was merely the Emperor's brother. Officer Mu Mu nearly spewed blood, his eyes widening as he stammered, Didn't he stop them? We were eliminated. And the hostages? All perished. They wouldn't be wearing Peppa Pig masks, would they? Hey, how did you know?" "Uft. Officer Mu Mu, why are you bleeding? Someone call for help. Officer Mu Mu has lost it." 30 minutes later, the officers from Yingzhou arrived to assist, only to find that nearly no one on the train had survived. They collectively gasped in horror, drawing in breath after breath. Everyone is dead? This was the first incident of such magnitude in Yingzhou's history. A whole train of casualties. Reports indicated that over 130 lives had been lost. Terrifying. Such a massacre was unprecedented. "Come here." The Yingzhou officers rushed into the room prepared specifically for that esteemed individual, only to find the floor littered with unconscious bodyguards, with no sign of the elderly man. "This is disastrous. Where is he? This is a calamity. The Emperor's brother has been abducted. Get to the bottom of this." In utter confusion, they had allowed this to happen. Such disgrace. The officers of Yingzhou soon grasped the methods employed by Han Li and his accomplices, their scalps prickling in fear. They observed the pits embedded in the ground at the waiting area, which explained the source of the criminals' weaponry. First, they diverted attention, then seized control of the driver's cabin, subsequently taking hostages and cutting their way out. The disparity in firepower was overwhelming, not to mention the sheer number of assailants. This was a complete crushing of the Yingzhou police force, one veteran analyzed. "This method is truly terrifying. Everyone instinctively thought of that man. For he alone could crush them into mere dust. No, he hasn't returned, has he? For heaven's sake, don't scare me. Quickly, contact headquarters, initiate level 1 alert." The truth cannot be concealed. Han Li's return to Yingzhou, slaughtering an entire train of people and abducting the Emperor's brother, sent shockwaves throughout the vast territory of Yingzhou. The internet was rife with the mournful wails of the citizens. For heaven's sake, has he not already claimed the lives of hundreds? I heard from my friend that he shot them one by one. The shocking train robbery will be etched in history, a monumental event. Surely this cannot be scripted? Terrifying. This man from Huaxia is truly fearsome. Han Li observed as a group brought the elderly man before him, taking a seat and gesturing for one to remove his hood. "For heaven's sake, it's you." The old man trembled at the sight of Han Li, utterly taken aback, realizing that this was the Han Li who had come seeking vengeance. "We meet again, old man," Han Li said with a benign smile. Yet, to the old man, it appeared utterly sinister. He revealed a vicious snarl of desperation. "You wouldn't dare kill me, would you? You are merely a contestant, not a true criminal. You cannot do anything to me. I am the founder. You are but a player. What can you possibly do? So, you believe that grants you the freedom to act without consequence?" Han Li raised an eyebrow. What nonsensical reasoning is this? The old man, in a fit of madness, assumed a position of authority, bellowing, "This is my power, you wretch. I can do as I please. In a short while, my brother will arrive, and you will be imprisoned for life." Even at death's door, he remained arrogant. "Who grants you such audacity?" Han Li rose, moving behind the old man, patting him on the shoulder. "You will come to regret this." What? Chapter 181. The Emperor? The Emperor must bow to me as well. In the next moment, Han Li abruptly ensnared the old man's neck with a noose hanging from the beam, causing him to gasp for breath. "What are you doing?" The old man was lifted by the rope, his feet struggling to find purchase on the chair, his body swaying uncontrollably. The apprentices turned their heads, unable to bear the sight. Although they were citizens of Yingzhou, Han Li was their faith. This was different. "Calm down, Han Li," the old man pleaded, grasping at the rope as he watched Han Li approach, his heart racing. "He can't be serious, can he?" Bang. Han Li smiled, kicking away the chair beneath the Yingzhou official. "For heaven's sake, a madman. The old man lost his support, as if struck by lightning. His face turned pale, his breath faltering, struggling like a fish out of water. Even more cruelly, Han Li was broadcasting this live. The scene was streamed across screens large and small throughout Yingzhou, with passers-by halting in their tracks, wide-eyed and gaping at the display. Is that not the emperor's brother? Is he truly to be hanged? For heaven's sake, what is happening? Madness. The Yingzhou Police Department is in a state of despair, with officers' faces ashen, as they scramble to trace the live stream's location, only to find it repeatedly thwarted by hackers. What on earth is happening? Haven't you found anything yet? My apologies, Your Majesty. Inside the vehicle, the emperor, consumed by rage, hurls his phone to the ground, his fury palpable. He has never felt such urgency before. After all, it is his brother who is now being treated like livestock. Suspended in agony. Ding ding ding. Hello? Your Majesty, it has been quite some time. The familiar voice belongs to the assassin from Huaxia, stirring a torrent of emotions within the emperor. What do you want? Han Li, seated comfortably, savors the sight of the elder's struggles. Speaking to the emperor on the other end. 100 billion yen. Pay up, or I will execute the ransom. 100 billion yen? Why don't you go and rob a bank? The national treasury doesn't even hold that much. Moreover, you've already begun the process. This is a crime. A true crime. I will have your nation pursue you. The emperor retorts fiercely. Han Li replies, do you have any evidence? The emperor's mind races, truthfully. He seems to lack any proof. How can this be tolerated? This indignation is unbearable. Han Li whistles, indicating that your brother appears to be nearing his limits. 100 billion. I cannot produce that amount right now. I beg you stop this. The esteemed emperor of Yingzhou is now, at this moment, compromising before a Huaxia individual, even resorting to a pitiful plea. I'm sorry, your authority holds no weight here. 100 billion is assuredly within your brother's reach. You have 3 minutes. As his time is running out, the struggling elder's complexion turns as pale as a corpse, his attempts becoming increasingly futile. He is nearing the end. You. 100 billion, transfer it to this account, or prepare to collect your brother's remains. The tone, the stance, the outrageous audacity. In that instant, the emperor, the pinnacle of power in Yingzhou, finds himself unable to retort. He lowers his voice in submission. I understand. Beep beep beep. The viewers in the live stream. Is this for real? This is outrageous. Mr. Han, asking for 100 billion is terrifying. Could it truly lead to a life being lost? As for those upstairs, I cannot say for certain this time. The audience understands that it was the elder from Yingzhou who initiated this conflict. Should Mr. Han take his life, there would be no grounds for reproach. Upon ending the call, countless banks in Yingzhou commenced a frantic remittance operation, unleashing an economic storm that swept across the entirety of Yingzhou. The head of the Yingzhou paper mill exclaims, "What? I have been mortgaged?" The CEO of the Yingzhou Entertainment Company shouts, "How can this be? My shares have been sold out suddenly." The head of Yingzhou Manufacturing wonders, "What is happening? I just woke up, and my company is gone?" One company after another was uprooted, sending shockwaves through the ranks of Yingzhou's executives, who feared another economic crisis. Little did they know, this was merely the entirety of Yingzhou rallying to raise a ransom for one individual. Ding dong. Following a flurry of notifications, Han Li pulls out his phone, momentarily taken aback. He discovers that he has inexplicably acquired numerous shares in major corporations, along with a staggering remittance of 500 billion. At this moment, he finds himself in possession of several companies from Yingzhou. Suddenly, I have become a business magnate. Incredible. Is this for real? Has money truly flowed in? Han Li, I have overnight transformed into a business tycoon. This is astonishing. Han, single-handedly, has mobilized the entire Yingzhou. It's igniting excitement. This venture is a means to earn a modest living and benefit the Huaxia. The Yingzhou company is now under Huaxia's governance. The barrage of comments flooded in, all praising Han for his earnest efforts. Han Li, no, I truly haven tea. Unbelievable. The ninja beside him was salivating, eyes gleaming with admiration. The apprentices gazed at him in awe, as though a deity had descended. Please, set me down. The elderly man, deliberately dangled by Han Li, was now lamenting in agony. The phone rang. Emperor. Beep, beep, beep. Without hesitation, Han Li hung up. Ninja? Apprentices? Live stream audience. Incredible. The leader of a nation personally called you, and you didn't even answer, but hung up instead? What audacity. Someone light a cigarette for Han. I am utterly bowing down. Meanwhile, on the other end, the emperor, having finished the remittance, was bewildered. He hung up on me. A mere passerby from Huaxia hung up on me. Unbelievable. Furious. Beeping in anger, he now had to yield, for his brother was in Han's grasp. Moses? The emperor, fearing this madman would hang up again, softened his tone. How disgusting. Let us hear a word from Han. The ninja erupted with excitement. This is too intense. Emperor. Hey, it seems your brother may be in trouble. Han. The emperor, shedding tears, cried out, damn it. I must express my sorrow even while weeping. Han Li felt at ease. Not bad. There lies potential. Upon uttering this, the viewers in the live stream were overwhelmed. Their CPUs nearly overheating. You have received the money and the company. Can you now release my brother? Han Li could indeed set him free. Several apprentices gently lowered the feeble elder, who, in a daze, repeatedly muttered, I was wrong, spare me. Concurrently, the Yingzhou police, having traced the live stream's location, arrived in droves at a factory not far from the river. This is the place. The most elite special forces from Yingzhou disembarked from their armored vehicles and swiftly surrounded the factory. Tank, bring in the tanks. The emperor wiped away his tears. This was the first time he had felt so vulnerable. I demand this Huaxiao individual pay the price. Chapter 182. The most dangerous place is the safest place. The emperor's troops quickly surrounded the entire factory, hastily searching for Han Li and the other robbers. If caught, there would be no mercy. Unbelievable. You say there are no signs of them? The emperor, infuriated, began striking with his cane. The onlookers trembled, witnessing the emperor's uncharacteristic display of vulnerability. The good news was that Han Li had indeed freed the founder of Yingzhou, who was rescued. The bad news. As they emerged, he was on the brink of collapse, his mental state teetering on the edge of insanity. Demon! Demon! The old man clutched the emperor's garment with all his strength, barely able to stand, as if he had aged several years in an instant. Witnessing this scene, the onlookers felt an inexplicable wave of shame wash over them. What has happened to my brother? The emperor inquired, turning to the physician at his side. The doctor hesitated momentarily before stammering, Your Majesty, he has suffered psychological trauma to the brain. Speak plainly. It's PTSD. He has been left with lasting shadows. A wave of embarrassment swept through the crowd. Quickly seize him. The emperor's teeth clenched in fury. This man from Huaxiao must perish, for his demise would ensure Huaxiao's safety. The command was given, and the troops swiftly mobilized, launching a widespread manhunt in the vicinity. Meanwhile, Han Li walked along a narrow path with the ninja. Beside a small river, approaching a checkpoint. Something big has happened. The ninja sensed impending danger. Indeed, they had gone too far this time. In the darkness, he spotted a series of flickering lights, swaying ominously. These were the troops dispatched to apprehend them. What should we do? The ninja glanced at Han Li. This was a detail Han Li had not disclosed to him. Otherwise, he would never have brought his apprentice along. By the way, where are your other disciples? Be patient. Han Li replied, withdrawing his hand from the water. As he dragged a bag from the river, the ninja sensed something was amiss. Upon closer inspection, he discovered it contained 2 diving suits. What is this? Diving suits? Surprised, aren't you? Han Li responded. The ninja was bewildered and asked, You planned this? What else could it be? No, you anticipated this all along. No wonder you were sneaking off to the thicket earlier. The ninja sighed, cursing internally. Han Li was still the same crafty individual, always 10 steps ahead. Stop talking and put it on. Han Li tossed a diving suit to him, and they both donned the gear before plunging into the water, navigating downstream along the river until they reached the checkpoint. There, a gate obstructed their passage, severing the flow of the river. What now? We rest. The ninja watched as Han Li climbed up to the gate, sitting beneath the bridge as if he were an elder. Are you mad? They'll see us here. The gate was swarming with guards, patrolling back and forth. One misstep, and they would be discovered. To the ninja's astonishment, Han Li disregarded his advice, even drifting into a light slumber. The audience in the live stream was astounded. This is insane. He's right in front of them. The ninja realized the sounds above were growing louder, and without further thought, he squeezed beside Han Li at the gate. Hurry, hurry, Baka. The emperor commanded that the individual from Huaxiao must not escape. Nagashima emerged, assuring the emperor's envoy, Rest assured, this Huaxiao man shall not flee. I am guarding the checkpoint. He cannot elude capture. Furthermore, even if he were to breach the checkpoint, how could he swim back? Behind the checkpoint lies nothing but a vast expanse of ocean. Swimming would surely exhaust him. That puts my mind at ease. If you manage this well, the rewards for you will be substantial. Nagashima chuckled, thinking to himself that this Huaxiao man, in his cleverness, had underestimated the situation. Did he truly believe that traversing the water would pose no issue? He was gravely mistaken. This very choice would serve as his prison. Illuminate the area. With unwavering confidence, Nagashima declared, should he attempt to navigate the waters, I shall ensure he finds no escape. We possess the most powerful floodlights. Hiding beneath the surface will be futile. Previously, they had utilized these potent lights to unearth numerous individuals attempting to cross clandestinely, achieving perfect success. The soldiers under his command, having received the emperor's directive, commenced their search, igniting one illuminating beacon after another, casting a brilliant glow upon the water's surface. The ninja felt a surge of anxiety. The vast illumination rendered concealment ineffective. Fortunately, they were sheltered beneath the checkpoint, where even the most intense lights failed to reach them. He occasionally glanced at Han Li, who was resting nearby, feeling a profound astonishment. Who had just claimed I was lacking in intellect? The ninja turned away, whistling softly. The live broadcast was buzzing. The most perilous locales often provide the greatest safety, do you understand? One soldier remarked with a chuckle, let us see how long he can hold his breath. The intelligence of these soldiers was concerning. They were clearly struggling to keep pace with Han Li's line of thought. After a while, as the soldiers failed to spot any figures, they were left perplexed. Nagashima smirked. They must be holding their breath. How foolish. Let's see how long they can endure. With a silly grin, he reveled in their predicament. Below the surface, Han Li calmly retrieved his phone, watching the minutes tick away, murmuring, "It's nearly 8 o'clock. Hey, brother, we need to devise an escape plan. The ocean lay just beyond the checkpoint. Do not suggest swimming out together. That would be tantamount to seeking death." Han Li inquired, at this hour, what vessels might be present at the checkpoint. The ninja paused, contemplating. 8 o'clock. The checkpoint suddenly. His eyes lit up with excitement. Fishing boats. At this hour, fishing boats would undoubtedly be setting out, and the checkpoint would typically allow passage. They could seize the opportunity to board a vessel. The ninja recalled that fishing boats from Yingzhou were notoriously abundant. Just then, as if in response to their conversation, the sound of a boat horn echoed across the water. Audible from afar. It was indeed a fishing boat. The ninja was elated, and Han Li's lips curled into a smile as he stowed away his phone. Redonning his diving suit, he focused intently as the boat approached, now just 7 or 8 meters away. Han Li seized the moment, observing the crew as they lowered the ropes. Before the boat could reach the checkpoint, it would need to dock for inspection. This was Han Li and his companion's best opportunity. "Let us go." Originally languid, Han Li suddenly leaped into the water with remarkable agility. "Are you a turtle?" The ninja quickly followed suit. The two of them, taking refuge in the shadow of the fishing boat, evaded the searchlights and swiftly climbed aboard using the ropes. "What are you doing?" one of them asked, bewildered. "Searching the ship, of course. Are you foolish? The most pressing matter now is to locate that Huaxiao person the Emperor desires. Once we find him, fortune and promotion will surely follow. Stop being so dim-witted. This rickety boat isn't worth the trouble of searching." "Ah, that makes sense. Sir, are you not going to search?" "Let us go, don't hinder my success." Thus, they merely conducted a cursory search of the fishing vessel before allowing it to depart. Hastily seeking Han Li's whereabouts, Han Li stood at the stern, glancing back at the bustling crew as they passed through the checkpoint, escaping unscathed. "What will happen to my subordinates?" "They will be taken care of." Just then, a loud shout echoed, and they turned to see a tall, one-eyed old man glaring at them, bellowing, "Who are you?" Chapter 183, Murderous Intent in the Heart of a Pig. "Have we been discovered?" The captain was about to shout when he suddenly saw Han Li draw a firearm aimed directly at him. Shoo! In an instant, the captain clamped his mouth shut. Mistaking Han Li for a genuine robber, Han Li exuded an air of bravado that genuinely frightened him. He continued, "We will only stay for a moment before departing. If you insist on causing trouble, I wouldn't mind." He gently squeezed the trigger, prompting the captain to hastily shake his head, signaling that he meant no offense. Excellent. Han Li and the ninja swiftly took control of the entire vessel, as none of the crew dared to defy them, each raising their hands in surrender. After a considerable time had passed, the captain hesitantly spoke, "The destination you seek is approaching." Ahead, a protruding shoreline marked the nearby dock. "Here is some money for you." Han Li handed the captain a sum, which the latter accepted with a nod, indicating his understanding. "I have not seen you." The crew echoed his sentiment, allowing the ninja to experience the true power of wealth. At the dock, Han Li and the ninja entered a restaurant. "What are you planning to do?" "A food broadcast." "You understand?" The ninja replied, perplexed. "Murderous intent. Baka, where are they?" Long Island's eyes were bloodshot as he berated those below him, fatigue etched on his face. "A whole day has passed. Dawn has broken, yet where are they?" "Head, I don't know. The water is nearly illuminated. Yet there is not a soul in sight. This is absurd. Logically, even with diving gear, one cannot hold their breath for an entire night, right? Could they have escaped?" Upon uttering these words, everyone deemed him insane. "How could that be possible? Are you out of your mind? Our checkpoint is impenetrable. No one can escape." Many netizens on the Yingzhou forum echoed Long Island's confidence, believing that Han Li was certainly trapped. Even a geographical expert from Yingzhou expressed his opinions. How absurd. From a physical standpoint, it is impossible for a mere human to breach the gates, for Han Li to escape. He must rely on the nod of the minister of Changdao. There was once a statistic indicating that at the Yingzhou checkpoint, which ranked first, 50% of criminals would voluntarily abandon this route. The netizens of Yingzhou fervently agreed. It has been proven that as long as control over the gates lies firmly in our hands, there is no cause for concern. They have maintained vigilance, and not even the most inconspicuous of individuals could evade the watchful eye of the law. Suddenly, a thunderous roar of numerous vehicles echoed nearby, and armored cars came into view, sending a wave of tension among the personnel at the checkpoint. A luxurious Lincoln came to a halt, and out stepped the highest authority of Yingzhou, the Emperor. "Your Majesty, are you the one in charge?" he inquired. "Have you found him?" Changdao stammered, "Your Majesty, I regret to report that we have not yet located the individual, but rest assured, with me guarding this checkpoint, he cannot escape. It is merely a matter of time." The Emperor chuckled nonchalantly. "Could he have drowned?" "Ah, it is possible. Possible, my foot." The Emperor bellowed, causing Changdao to kneel in fear, trembling. "You fool. It is precisely because of imbeciles like you in Yingzhou that a mere Huaxiao man can toy with us. Just wait and see if he escapes." With a resounding crash, the Emperor hurled a mobile phone at Changdao's face. Bewildered, it was the first time he had witnessed the Emperor's wrath and found it incomprehensible. As he picked up the phone, the screen revealed Han Li sitting in a restaurant, voraciously devouring steak and sipping on beverages, with a table laden with delicacies. He was dumbfounded. How could he be in a restaurant, and eating so well. This is impossible. I have been guarding the checkpoint and saw no one escape. Suddenly, a junior officer realized something and discreetly informed Chang Dao, "Boss, a fishing boat did leave earlier." What? The revelation struck Chang Dao like a thunderclap, causing his legs to weaken as he sank to the ground. He understood now. This Huaxiao man had cleverly used the fishing boat to slip through undetected. "Your Majesty, I was wrong. Please grant me another chance." He clung to the emperor's leg, sobbing in despair. "Family, I have failed. Do as you wish." Han Li raised a golden goblet and downed its contents, exclaiming, "What a delight! This life is truly enjoyable." For those listening, it was as if a dagger had sliced through their very souls. The discomfort was palpable. The live stream chat exploded with fervor. "How wicked! This is a heartless act." Han Li exclaimed, "My friends, I have done it." The emperor kicked Chang Dao aside, feeling embarrassed on his behalf, and coldly declared, "You are dismissed, fool." In the aftermath, the Huaxiao production team, upholding a spirit of camaraderie, provided the records of Han Li's exploits to Yingzhou, much to the chagrin of the Yingzhou director who gritted his teeth while maintaining a facade of a smile. Delightful. When the officers of Yingzhou reviewed Han Li's intricate plan, from the strategic arrangement of weapons to his clever use of an unassuming fishing boat to achieve his escape, they acknowledged that, while the execution was not overly complex, it was strikingly effective. Unable to comprehend, yet unable to emulate, countless police stations repeatedly scrutinized the situation, only to be left perplexed. The criminal experts of Yingzhou aspired to salvage the dignity of the Yingzhou police chief, but ultimately, they relinquished their efforts. It was simply futile. They were utterly defeated. "Han Li, get out of Yingzhou. You only come here to wreak havoc. Go abroad instead." At this moment, netizens from Huaxiao incessantly replayed Han Li's eating broadcast. Many Yingzhou netizens were rendered speechless in an instant. Even the experts seemed to vanish without a trace, their accounts obliterated. "Ha ha ha, laughable. Still at the first checkpoint?" Han Li remarked, "Is this all you've got? In no time, I'll break through." In another location, a group of robbers donned with Peppa Pig masks brought a person tied up. This individual was none other than the director of the Yingzhou program. As the tape over his mouth was ripped off, he looked around in fury, shouting, "Why am I tied up? Who are you people?" The assailants remained silent, merely observing as the bewildered ninja stared at the scene, wondering if this was indeed the program's director. "Did I instruct them to kidnap the director? It seems your disciples possess considerable insight." Han Li chuckled as he stepped forward. Yingzhou certainly did not anticipate that while they focused their attention on themselves, Han Li had dispatched his main force to infiltrate the program's headquarters, resulting in the director's abduction. "Why are you tying me up?" the director retorted, gazing at Han Li. "You're being eliminated." Han Li waved dismissively. The audience in the live stream was bewildered. What on earth? It can be done like this? The director panicked, fully aware of the implications, and immediately began to struggle. "You traitors, release me at once. He aims to destroy us in Yingzhou." "What?" Everyone was taken aback, collectively turning their gaze toward Han Li. Chapter 184. What? What we did? Oh, then it's no big deal. I need a favor, ninja. For the first time, Han Li spoke with a tone of earnest pleading, leaving the ninja utterly astonished. This man was actually requesting his assistance? The sky must be falling. Quickly stop him. "You are from Yingzhou. Why aid a Huaxiao person?" The director continued to implore the group. "I no longer wish to be involved in your affairs," the ninja stated before quietly exiting the alley, his apprentices following suit. "Traitor!" the director screamed in despair, realizing he had become the lamb for slaughter. With his back turned to the ninja, Han Li expressed his gratitude. "Thank you." In the next moment, gunfire erupted in the alley. However, no fatalities ensued. The director, glancing at the red dot on his forehead, sighed in resignation. With his elimination, the Yingzhou program's director would allow Huaxia to acquire 200,000 points. Coupled with the previous abduction of the founder and his subsequent elimination, this chain of events would yield no less than 500,000 points. With these 500,000 points, Huaxia could ascend to second place, closing in on the first-place contender, Country M. Meanwhile, in a secluded headquarters situated on an island, amidst a dense forest, stands the only towering edifice, a grand conference room. At its center lies a colossal round table, adorned with 13 chairs, each representing one of the 13 founders. Suddenly, one of the chairs dimmed, losing its radiance. A staff member, noticing this anomaly, entered the room and, upon confirming the situation, spoke to another individual. "Yingzhou has been eliminated." "Over. Is Yingzhou gone? How can this be? Who could have done this?" Panic ensued within the building, as the representatives from 13 nations, tasked with monitoring the real-time leaderboard, found themselves in disarray. Just moments before, the representative from Yingzhou was reveling in the joy of adding 50,000 points to his nation's score. This disheartening news plunged him into despair. Impossible. No. This cannot be happening. All the hard-earned points gone just like that. The representatives from other nations shared in his anxiety, fearing they might be next. The representative from Huaxia was drenched in cold sweat, having witnessed the first national elimination, signaling that the competition was nearing its conclusion. Anxiety permeated the air, as no one wished for their nation to face elimination. Once a nation was ousted, its points would be redistributed to others. "I must report this immediately," he declared, dialing a number. A highly esteemed leader answered, "Hello? Leader, we have a grave situation. Ingzhou has been eliminated." "Oh, a nation has been eliminated. It could very well be our turn next." The leader struggled to suppress a chuckle, feigning ignorance. "Is it that serious?" "Indeed. But rest assured, this matter will not befall Huaxia." The leader suddenly burst into laughter, leaving the representative perplexed. "What do you mean? Are you not aware? The mastermind behind Ingzhou's elimination is none other than us, Huaxia." The revelation struck like thunder on a clear day, leaving the representative in disbelief. "Really?" he asked repeatedly. "The director informed me that a contestant named Han Li single-handedly brought down Ingzhou. Initially, I was skeptical, but upon reviewing the footage, I was convinced this young man is formidable." Han Li, who doesn't he know him? He currently reigns at the top of the Huaxia crime leaderboard. Thus, it became clear that the source of anxiety among the other nations stemmed from their own. The representative's face flushed with embarrassment. At that moment, the agitated representatives around him erupted into chaos once more. "Look at the screen. Oh my God, this cannot be real. This is cheating, it must be cheating." In stark contrast, the representative from Huaxia hung up the phone with an air of composure and approached the screen, secretly amused. They were unaware that at this hour, the much-anticipated screen would update the international real-time rankings. Yesterday, the standings were as follows. First was Nation M, second was Rooster Nation, third was Huaxia, and fourth was Nation Y. However, now, Huaxia, which had previously been in third place, had suddenly displaced Rooster Nation, soaring to second place. A staggering 50,000 points have inexplicably appeared. The overseers of the Rooster Nation were utterly shocked, collapsing to the ground in disbelief. In an instant, they found themselves outpaced by Huaxia, leaving them several streets behind, truly astonishing. The overseers from numerous countries simultaneously cast their gazes towards Huaxia's representatives, contemplating this ill-gotten wealth. It was evident to all that it must be linked to the elimination of Ingzhou. "You scoundrel!" shouted the overseer from Ingzhou, who, even if dim-witted, could discern that this was surely the work of Huaxia. He clamored for a confrontation. The Huaxia overseer, the bewildered old Su, waved his hand dismissively. "I am not aware of it either. How shameless. Damn it, invincible." Old Su retorted, "I do not admit to it. What can you do?" Little Ri, in tears, lamented loudly about the tides of fortune. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Do not underestimate the impoverished. In a single day, such monumental changes had transpired, leaving everyone utterly unprepared. They hurriedly reported to their respective national leaders. In Country M, the president, stroking his hair, muttered, damn it. Such a thing must never occur. We must unite to defeat Huaxia." He instructed his secretary to contact Country Y and Rooster Nation immediately. Rising from his seat, he turned to his secretary. "Have we discovered why Ingzhou was eliminated? It must be that Huaxia deployed their military, or perhaps organized some suicide squad. I've heard that the contestants from Huaxia tend to band together." The secretary's expression darkened. "None of that is true." The president, perplexed, inquired, "What, then, is the reason?" "It is due to one person," the secretary replied, presenting information about Han Li to the president. After perusing it, the president slumped back in his chair, unable to believe that a Huaxiao individual could achieve such a feat. Yet, he had indeed accomplished it. First in Huaxia. No wonder. Go, persuade him to join us. "Yes," responded the voluptuous secretary, licking her lips and smiling as she booked a flight to Huaxia. Meanwhile, Han Li, who was blissfully unaware of the enormous storm he had stirred, was leisurely seated on a plane, engrossed in his phone. It had been quite a while since he last returned to Huaxia. Suddenly, a message from Ling Han pinged. "Whoa. President Han, it's explosive news. I've heard, it's incredible. Also, hurry and check the official livestream, quickly." Official livestream? Han Li retrieved his phone and, for the first time, opened the official website of Criminal Roleplay. He was taken aback by what he saw. A global leaderboard. The rankings of contestants worldwide. Where do I stand? Curiosity piqued. Han Li opened the document and immediately spotted himself ranked ninth. The ninth in the world. Ahead of him were all formidable talents. He put away his phone, deciding to take a short nap upon returning to Huaxia for a few days of rest before planning his next move. After all, he had eliminated the entire Ingzhou. At that moment, the captain's voice echoed through the cabin. "We apologize, dear passengers, but due to weather conditions, we will be landing at Magic City Airport. We sincerely apologize." Magic City. A few minutes later, Han Li stood at the airport in the magical city, inquiring about flights, only to learn that there would be no flights to City S for the next 3 days. He would have to remain in the magical city for the time being. As he spoke, he was about to find a spot to sit down when he was taken aback. Not far away, a billboard proclaimed, "Congratulations to Officer Li Yi for once again apprehending a criminal gang, earning the title of Nemesis of Crime." Unexpectedly, this individual was also present. Han Li stroked his chin, his eyes sparkling. It had been a while since he had engaged in playful banter with the Chinese police. Chapter 185. Crafting a gun by hand, terrifying the bigwigs. Han Li booked a flight to City S for 3 days later and hailed a cab, preparing to find a hotel to stay in. "Where to, sir?" "A nearby hotel," he replied. The driver, during the ride, regaled Han Li with tales of the magical city's various attractions, such as ancient towers, the towering buildings on the mountain, spires piercing through the clouds, and long bridges spanning between skyscrapers. Suddenly, the car came to a screeching halt, which irritated Han Li. "What's wrong, driver?" The driver, looking embarrassed, explained. "There's been an incident up ahead." "An incident?" Han Li looked up and, as the driver had said, noticed a large crowd gathering, with officers in bulletproof vests maintaining order and setting up barriers. Curious onlookers were being ushered away. It was indeed a scene of chaos. Vaguely, he activated his eagle eye skill, acquired in London, and his vision expanded dramatically. He saw clearly that on the side of the street, a foreign man was brandishing a gun, holding a female employee hostage. His expression was one of fury as he barked at the nearby officers in Chinese. "Stop. I will shoot. Stand back." The woman, terrified and with a gun pressed to her head, trembled in fear, as anyone would in such a dire situation. "Stay calm. What do you want? As long as it's reasonable, we can accommodate you." One officer attempted to negotiate, having encountered foreign robbers numerous times before. "What the hell is going on? Foreigners robbing every day. It's like they're completing their daily KPI." The foreigner, seeing the officer's retreat, burst into a maniacal laugh, deriding the Chinese police, confident that a single hostage could bring them to their knees. He arrogantly proclaimed, "Bring a reporter. Let the media cover me." Han Li found the robber's lack of professionalism amusing. If it were him, he would have disguised himself as a journalist, taking the robber by surprise and swiftly neutralizing him. The officers of the magical city retreated a few steps, seemingly conceding to the foreigner. "You go." One officer shouted to a timid journalist nearby. The journalist nodded, fear evident as he cautiously approached the robber. "Come here, stop dawdling." The robber barked. "Yes." The journalist stammered as he reached the robber, trembling as he held up his microphone. "Coward." The foreigner scoffed, dismissing the timid journalist entirely. He turned to the camera, declaring, "Remember, my name is Mike. And you lot are nothing but scum." Just then the unassuming young reporter suddenly launched a surprise attack, seizing the weapon from the robber, and before his terrified eyes, dismantled the magazine right in front of him. "Quick!" Li Yi commanded the officers behind him, who rushed forward to successfully subdue the foreign assailant. "Damn it, this is cheating." "All's fair in war, sir," Li Yi remarked as he cuffed him. The officers gathered around the foreigner in unison. This entire operation was orchestrated by Li Yi. "Officer Li, you are truly impressive. Who would have thought of such a tactic?" "It's nothing," Li Yi replied, wiping the sweat from his brow and smiling. The crowd erupted in cheers. "Incredible. Officer Li is so handsome. Well done." Even the driver couldn't help but raise his fist, exclaiming, "That foreigner now knows the might of the Huaxia police." Han Li retracted his hawk-like gaze. This Li Yi had indeed grown stronger. Is he really that formidable? Absolutely. Although he comes from afar, in these past months, he has been nearly invincible, a general of constant victory, instilling fear in criminals. This Officer Li was remarkable. As the police cleared the obstacles, the vehicle continued on its way. Han Li glanced back at Li Yi, who was confidently being interviewed by reporters. Unfortunately for them, they had crossed paths with me. A bold plan began to take shape in his mind. That day, Han Li strolled around, purchasing various materials from different shops, before heading to a processing factory to discuss matters with the owner. He then locked himself in a small room, engrossed in his work. What could he be up to? The sound of clattering suggested something far more sinister than mere construction. The onlookers deemed him too busy to concern themselves with his activities. Inside the room, Han Li let out a sigh of relief, leaning back in his chair as he admired his handiwork laid out on the table. A G3SG-1 replica, though not authentic, was sufficient to fire bullets. He also had several grenades, a tear gas canister, and a rudimentary timed explosive device. If anyone outside were to see these, they would surely be terrified. Isn't this the work of a ruthless bandit? The viewers in the live stream were left dumbfounded. Does CEO Han even know how to make guns? Despite being a half-finished product, it was indeed impressive. This is serious, a thorough investigation. Within the live stream, the host was at a loss for words, exclaiming in astonishment. She turned to look at the special guests for the day, a retired theater commander, a weapons expert, and an elderly official. All three wore solemn expressions. "Ah, Old Li, could you provide your assessment? Can I recruit him into the Corps?" The retired theater commander regarded Han Li as if he were a precious gem. Such talent should be utilized for the nation. The weapons expert even shared Han Li's weapon-making video within their small circle. "What? A civilian making AG-3SG-1? You must be joking. He can barely manage a magazine." The expert scoffed in disbelief. "This is absurd. Manufacturing firearms, let alone the legal implications. Without over a decade of training, he couldn't even forge a hammer. Not even a professor would dare claim such a feat, old Wang. You must be mistaken." Indeed. Upon viewing that video, Han Li effortlessly combined materials, skillfully assembling and loading a magazine within the span of just an hour. Although it was a mere prototype, he had astonishingly crafted AG-3SG-1 by hand. The audacity of creating AG-3SG-1 with nothing but bare hands? Unbelievable. A master among mortals. I revere you, old Wang. Do you take apprentices? Come to my company. I'll offer $1 million. A professor from a certain university excitedly stood up in class, exclaiming, "This is absolutely phenomenal." The students were bewildered. The most exaggerated moment came when several new followers suddenly appeared in Han Li's livestream. Western Theater Commander has followed. Eastern Theater Commander has followed. Southern Theater Commander has followed. The viewers trembled in awe. Is this a live stream? It feels like an entire military conference. For a moment, no one dared to comment in the chat. Unbeknownst to Han Li, he was simply testing the weapon, firing a few rounds with impressive results. As expected, the system's skills were indeed formidable. After completing his tasks, Han Li packed everything up. As he left, a worker mocked him, asking what he had done that was so heavy. With a smile, Han Li exited and headed straight to a nearby jewelry store. Passing by a stall, he called out, "Master, give me a mask, something cool. How about this one? It's really stylish," the vendor suggested, handing Han Li a red mask. "Perfect, I'll take it." After paying, Han Li swaggered into the jewelry store. The manager was overjoyed upon his entry. But by the time Han Li emerged, he was weeping profusely. The alarm blared, signaling that the jewelry store had been robbed. In an instant, the sound of sirens attracted a multitude of onlookers. What? Robbing in broad daylight? How thrilling. Quickly, Han Li, with a bag full of jewels, jumped into a resting taxi, brandishing a realistic firearm to frighten the driver away. He drove off into the distance. The viewers in the live stream remained rather unfazed. Is that it? Just some jewelry? Standard procedure. I could have done it faster in 5 minutes. There's room for improvement. This batch of comments left the host of the live stream utterly dumbfounded. This is outrageous. 10 minutes later, police vehicles arrived, deploying the nearest elite squad led by Officer Li Yi, who surveyed the situation with his team. This area is under our jurisdiction. Which robber has the audacity to act so boldly? By the way, what should we have for lunch? Beef noodles, hold the noodles. Just the meat. Everyone remained composed, not out of arrogance, but because they had handled numerous similar cases flawlessly. Gradually, their confidence swelled. Meanwhile, the jewelry store manager was in a state of panic, cursing. Damn it, they stole only the most valuable items. Clearly, an experienced individual. Rest assured, we will certainly recover it for you. Li Yi meticulously outlined the circumstances, his mind sharp and clear. Since the assailant had driven away, tracking them was feasible. His reputation attracted a throng of reporters, eagerly awaiting his emergence and clamoring to pose questions. Officer Li Yi, do you have confidence this time? I hear there is only one perpetrator. Do you have a girlfriend? Li Yi, addressing the cameras with a grave demeanor, stated, "Ladies and gentlemen, please have faith in our police department. I, Li Yi, assure you that this case will be resolved within 3 hours." Truly, he is Officer Li. Impressive. Emerging from the throng of reporters, Li Yi turned to the technical personnel in his team and inquired, "Have we tracked the vehicle's location?" "Indeed." The individual replied with a smile, handing over the screen, where a red indicated an abandoned factory. This robber was careless. He forgot we could trace the license plate. It seems he was in such a rush that he didn't anticipate this oversight. Just a reckless fool. After reviewing the surveillance footage from the shop, Li Yi noted how brazenly the robber acted, neglecting to tamper with the cameras, rushing in to seize the goods before fleeing. One word, reckless. Frankly, such behavior is all too familiar. Either they are genuinely reckless, or they possess an absolute confidence in their abilities. Yet, most often, it is the former. Let us proceed. When soldiers come, I will meet them. When water comes, I shall dam it. Aside from Han Li, I have yet to be defeated by anyone. Moreover, I am not the same person I once was. Meanwhile, Han Li set down his phone, having just achieved a quintuple kill. He surveyed the makeshift surveillance he had established, which covered the entire factory, allowing him to see everything clearly. All necessary arrangements had been made. He was merely waiting for the fish to bite. He then picked up a necklace valued at 5 million, tossing it aside without a second thought, as if discarding refuse. Such a price was inconsequential to him. He was indifferent to any small jewelry store. Robbing the jewelry store was merely a ruse to create an opportunity for a confrontation with Li Yi. Thus, he employed the most primitive tactics to deceive Li Yi and his colleagues into believing he was merely a fool. One who didn't even know how to tamper with surveillance footage. In reality, it was all an act, and by the time they realized, they would be ensnared in his grasp. They would take some time to arrive. In the meantime, he decided to check the rankings. Han Li pulled out his phone and accessed the official website for criminal roleplay, where he noted that his ranking remained unchanged at 10th place, now occupied by a competitor from a small nation. Desert Butcher, intriguing. He clicked on the profile, which displayed the criminal record of this contender. In the video, he single-handedly invaded a small town, eliminating over 100 individuals before dragging the town's treasury away on a train, disappearing without a trace. Han Li exclaimed, "Impressive." This fellow's marksmanship was exceptionally skillful, hitting targets with precision. He then turned to examine the other contenders. He successively opened videos of the top 10 competitors, showcasing feats such as scaling the highest towers and stealing the most luminous gems, alongside audacious acts like blowing up the entire city's police station overnight. Just as Han Li was engrossed in the viewing, a sudden sound emanated from the surveillance feed, prompting him to realize that Li Yi had arrived. Indeed, through the monitor, he observed a police vehicle making its way to the entrance of the abandoned factory. A group of armed officers disembarked, appearing to be elite police from the Magic City. However, at that moment, they lacked a sense of urgency. displaying an air of nonchalance. Damn, such a remote location. I've spotted that guy's vehicle. I specifically brought a shotgun today. He wants to know what hit him. The squad members brimmed with confidence, a testament to their formidable prowess. Yet only Li Yi understood that while they were labeled as elite, the absence of his presence would significantly diminish their effectiveness. As the group stepped out of the vehicle, they noticed the factory's entrance intermittently opening and closing, as if concealing something within. The surroundings felt eerily vacant, with towering walls enclosing them, inducing a sense of suffocation in Li Yi. Xiao Hai, investigate. Li Yi sensed something amiss about the factory, as if it harbored secrets. Wang Dehai nodded, retrieving his equipment, swiftly hacking into the factory's surveillance system, revealing a series of images devoid of any anomalies. Captain, you are overthinking it. It's merely a brute, he asserted confidently, his technical skills ensuring the footage's authenticity. In the replay, the robber had not tampered with the cameras, indicating a lack of knowledge regarding network technology. It's fine, Captain, Li Yi remarked. I truly don't understand why he would choose to hide here instead of fleeing to the wilderness. That would pose a greater challenge for us. If it weren't deliberate, he wouldn't be waiting to be caught, would he? One elite officer chuckled, replying to Li Yi. It's quite simple. His vehicle ran out of fuel. Look, the tank is empty. He is forced to hide in this factory, so don't fret unnecessarily. Indeed, it seemed plausible that the vehicle had run out of gas, compelling a halt. With a sigh, Li Yi steadied his weapon and addressed his team. Stay vigilant and refrain from acting impulsively. Yes, sir. Move out. Li Yi led the charge into the desolate factory, flanked by his fully armed elite squad, renowned for their unbroken record of victories. Yet, inexplicably, the biting cold wind that greeted them sent chills down his spine. Chapter 187. Boasting. Catching a police officer in 1 minute. Li Yi and his team entered the abandoned factory, ascending to the second floor. As the main door creaked open, they hesitated to rush out. 2 elite team members took up positions, cautiously peering out to assess the situation. Nothing suspicious ahead. Over. Li Yi nodded and was the first to step out, heading towards a stone pillar. The rest of the squad followed closely behind. Under the flickering lights, the atmosphere grew exceedingly tense. A group of individuals discovered several tightly shut crimson doors on the second floor. Dispersed. Li Yi was resolute in preventing any surprise attack from behind. Any door here could potentially hide an assailant. Fortunately, with sufficient manpower, he decided to form small teams of 2 to guard each entrance. The teams swiftly positioned themselves at their respective doorways, weapons raised. Open the door, Li Yi commanded, as he gestured for a nearby companion to aim, personally pushing the door open and swiftly raising his firearm. Ahead lay a dimly lit corridor, the lights wavering in and out. Clear, clear, came the confirmations from the others. Unsurprisingly, the other doors revealed no enemies, and Li Yi finally exhaled in relief, convinced that there were no further adversaries lurking. But just then, the once flickering lights suddenly extinguished, plunging everything into darkness. The group turned in unison, alarmed by the abrupt blackout, fearing an imminent assault. In a flash, a shadow darted past one of the team members, who instinctively ducked aside, drenched in cold sweat. Someone's there. Damn it, that was close. It must be the robber. As the other team members rushed towards the source of the alarm, Li Yi barked, retreat. It's a trap. Indeed, in the next moment, a figure emerged from the corridor, turning as a red laser beam swept towards him. Bang. The quick-witted Li Yi fired immediately, striking his target. Headshot. I'll check it out. Long, cover me. Li Yi ventured into the corridor, cautiously approaching the figure. While Long provided cover to guard against any unforeseen incidents, Li Yi halted, eyes widening in disbelief. The figure on the ground was not an assailant, but a dummy affixed with a hostage. Had he just shot a hostage? Damn it, he had fallen for a ruse. A wave of unease washed over him, an eerily familiar sensation. Meanwhile, the audience in the live stream erupted in excitement. Impressive, Han Li exclaimed. Congratulations on killing a hostage. What the hell? Li Yi retorted. At that moment, in a nearby surveillance room, Han Li munched on potato chips, leisurely enjoying the unfolding drama. The show was about to get interesting. Haha. Wait, why do I feel like the villain? I'm a model citizen. Inside the police station in Magic City, the chief was sipping tea, having invited several renowned criminology professors for a visit. By the way, where's Li Yi? He went to apprehend a robber, the chief informed them, recounting the events of that morning, which elicited laughter from the professors. This robber is quite something. Unprofessional, probably inexperienced, and too reckless. Just then, urgent shouts echoed from outside, and a police officer rushed into the office, exclaiming, Chief, the robber is streaming live. What? The chief and the professors quickly accessed Han Li's live broadcast on the Magic City network. On screen, a man donned in a suit and a red mask was striking the table, seated with a smile directed at the camera. How audacious. This brash individual remains oblivious to the fact that they are pursuing him. The internet has erupted. It is the first time I have witnessed a criminal broadcasting live in real time. Each viewer commenting, you are truly audacious. Ladies and gentlemen, the elite squad of Magic City is currently on my trail, asserting that they will apprehend me within 3 hours. I boldly declare today that I will capture a police chief in just 1 minute. Hiss, what a madman. The audacity of this statement has left everyone utterly astonished. Most regard him with the gaze of onlookers amused by a fool. A joke. A grand joke. The chief shakes his head repeatedly. It seems that today's robbers are not quite right in the head. Other criminology professors burst into laughter, deeming this the most amusing jest they have ever encountered. Truly, this robber is beyond comprehension. 1 minute? Does he fancy himself a superhero? How absurd, how vulgar. Humph. Merely a clown. It appears that he is nothing more than a brainless buffoon. Han Li, however, is unfazed. After all, from a different perspective, he too finds this improbable. Nevertheless, he revels in the prospect of slapping their disbelief back in their faces. Subsequently, he steps out the door, ready to perform. Within the police station, the professors, thoroughly entertained, jokingly retrieve a stopwatch to time the minute. They are eager to see if he can indeed capture a police chief. Haha. Meanwhile, Li Yi has regained his composure and realizes he requires additional manpower. He withdraws other squads, leaving 3 to cover the rear. He leads the remaining team straight to the heart of the action. Fear not, Chief, we are here, and the rear is secure. My shotgun is itching for action. Reliable. As Li Yi and his team enter a narrow passage, they are startled by a sudden cacophony. What the hell? Steady. Fortunately, Li Yi maintains his composure and quickly reassures everyone. This is merely a dark jest. Damn it, guarding the rear is so dull, after all. There is only one of them, wouldn't you agree? As Dashi grumbles and turns back, he is left aghast. Suddenly, another team member vanishes, leaving only a pool of blood. Motherf. In the next moment, a crimson dot appears on his forehead. Bang. At this moment, within the police station, the professors monitoring the countdown glance at their watches, noting only 5 seconds remain. Ah, we truly are ridiculous, entertaining a fool. If he manages to capture a police chief in 1 minute, I shall serve as his professor. Haha. Ding. Suddenly, the live stream presents a shocking scene. A police chief hangs from a high beam, bloodied and dazed, in a ghastly state, swaying ominously. Han Li shifts the camera to himself first. Then, to their astonishment, another minute passes, and a second police chief appears suspended from the beam. Hiss, it has exploded. It has exploded. This is terrifying. This is horrific. The viewers in the live stream. The professors, witnessing this scene, feel their smiles freeze in place. They stand in shock, exchanging terrified glances, their skin prickling with goosebumps, their hearts gripped by fear. Chapter 188. I Azu. Challenge you to a duel. Bang. The sudden gunshot immediately captured the attention of Li Yi and his companions. Brother Long, come with me. The rest of you stay put. Move. Li Yi, unwilling to take risks, instructed the others to wait while he accompanied Brother Long to investigate the situation behind them. Damn it. As they reached the rear, a large door suddenly separated them from the second floor. When did this door appear? Look over there. Ahead. There were no signs of the two who were supposed to cover their retreat. Only 2 pools of blood. Damn it. Where did they go? Things were spiraling out of control. What sound is that? The remaining team members heard a strange noise, and one bold member shouted, "Let's go check it out." But the captain said to wait. Why are you hesitating? Just go take a look. We have enough people. Just be careful. As several team members saw him leave, they reluctantly followed. They cautiously proceeded, alert to their surroundings, discovering numerous large doors on both sides. Damn, so many doors. Shoo. A junior member approached one of the doors, pointing inside as if he sensed something within. I'll cover you. 2 of us will aim outside while one goes to open the door. That way we can prevent an ambush. Creak. The door was slowly pushed open, and an elite team member peered inside, finding the room eerily empty, save for an old television making a raucous noise. Safe, just a television. No sooner had he spoken than the floor beneath him suddenly collapsed, and he vanished from the view of the 2 outside. Ahi. The events unfolded with alarming speed. A wail echoed as the 2, in a panic, rushed into the room to assist their comrade. But just as they stepped inside, a door on the opposite side quietly opened. Han Li, gripping his G3GS1, awaited the unsuspecting duo, firing several shots. What the hell? The team member checking the room felt a jolt of fear. A gunfight had erupted. Go provide support. However, when they reached the scene, their faces were pale, the previous smiles wiped away. On the ground, there were no bodies, only a few pools of blood. Where are Ahi and the others? Are they dead? I don't know. This is too damn strange. The team members were on the verge of collapse. Did the robber not even spare the bodies? Meanwhile, within the police station, chaos reigned. The chief attempted to contact Li Yi, but found the calls impossible to connect, clearly due to a signal blockage. Li Yi, answer the phone. That robber is no ordinary criminal. Amidst the turmoil, the professors observed the screen, horrified as 3 more figures dangled from the beam, a shocking sight. Oh my god. One elderly professor collapsed to the ground, paralyzed with fear. They're hanging there like sausages. It's too chilling. Exactly 3 minutes had passed. Just as Han Li had previously stated, he truly accomplished 1 police officer per minute. We have all been deceived by this robber. He has led us into a trap. He is no mere brute. He is a terrifying criminal. Chief, we need to send people for support. The situation is urgent. Officer Li is in danger. The director was taken aback by the sheer terror exhibited by the professors, revealing just how formidable the assailant truly was. Initially, netizens approached the situation with curiosity, but as the body count rose, dread began to permeate their sentiments. Surely, the police force wouldn't be entirely annihilated. Such a fate seemed inconceivable for the elite criminal investigation unit of the metropolis. Officer Lee, with his remarkable prowess, would undoubtedly prevail. Suddenly, the scene shifted, revealing 3 officers on high alert, cautiously approaching a door. It was indeed the elite task force. Clearly, something significant awaited them. However, the audience's fleeting joy was abruptly shattered by a horrifying spectacle. Before one officer could even unlock the door, he was abruptly yanked inside, followed by a cacophony of gunfire. Another officer, attempting to breach the door, was struck by a bullet that pierced through, staining his shoulder crimson. What was happening? The remaining officers stood frozen in shock when, without warning, a sturdy black cord descended, ensnaring his neck. As the apparatus activated, he was dragged across the floor like a lifeless animal, suspended in midair. His eyes wide with shock and terror, an unspeakable fear spread through the hearts of countless viewers. Within a mere minute, the so-called elites had been utterly vanquished. The scene transitioned once again, revealing 3 more bodies in the dim light, swaying ominously, each resembling a grotesque sausage. Only Han Li's laughter echoed through the air. Ladies and gentlemen, only 2 remain, he taunted, his chilling grin piercing through the collective psyche of the audience. It was utterly terrifying. Goodness, this person must be deranged. I can't watch this anymore, some declared in despair. Yet, there remained a glimmer of hope. Officer Lee Yi had become the audience's last beacon of salvation. Where's everyone? He wondered, frustration mounting. These little brats have become overconfident. Brother Long shook his head, sensing impending disaster. Lee Yi and Brother Long scoured room after room. But all they found were pools of blood, no bodies in sight. This is insane, Brother Long murmured, rubbing his bald head in disbelief. Unbeknownst to them, they ventured into an area lined with countless glass panels, akin to a labyrinth. Brother Long, slow down, Lee Yi cautioned, but Brother Long, consumed by urgency, quickened his pace. Before long, Lee Yi lost sight of Brother Long entirely. Brother Long, he shouted, but the silence that enveloped him was deafening. Damn it, Lee muttered. Wiping the sweat from his brow, he realized that the communication devices of the others had gone silent. No responses, only a suffocating stillness. What a wretched reality lay before him. Once accompanied by over a dozen armed elite officers, he now stood alone, the fate of his comrades uncertain. This was undoubtedly the most desperate battle Lee Yi had faced since his arrival in the metropolis. Stay calm, I must maintain my composure. After what felt like an eternity, as Lee Yi mustered the strength to navigate out of the labyrinth, he found himself in a broader factory space. Treading cautiously, he discovered an abyss of darkness, rendering the surroundings invisible. Suddenly, the silence was broken by an ominous rustling. Not far from Lee Yi, several flickering lights illuminated the scene, revealing a few silhouettes suspended like sausages, swaying back and forth. Ahi, Long Gu, Cheng Zai. Lee Yi called out the names of his teammates, tears welling in his eyes. There was no need for further words. They were his comrades. A wave of despair washed over him as he beheld this tragic sight. Come out, I know you are here, Lee Yi shouted, his heart heavy with anguish. Clap, clap, clap. Han Li emerged, applauding as he stepped into Li Yi's view, pointing at him and declaring, "You must be the illustrious Officer Li from Magic City, am I correct?" Li Yi replied defiantly, "What do you want?" He scrutinized the robber's demeanor, which exuded an air of ruthless bravado. Fool, they had been deceived. I hear your marksmanship is quite remarkable. Han Li circled around Li Yi, clearly oblivious to his true identity. Thus, Li Yi resolved to maintain his facade. He halted, produced a firearm, and placed it atop a paint can, grinning as he said, "I wager my skills against yours. Let us see who is quicker." Chapter 189, Dimensional Strike, a brutal defeat as the spectators online witnessed this unfolding drama. Hope rekindled within them. When it came to marksmanship, Li Yi ranked among the best, but in terms of assembling firearms, he claimed the top spot without contest. Officer Li, teach him a lesson. If we can save one, we shall save one. Go, officer. Li Yi clenched his fists. He had no other option. The adversary wielded a weapon and held the fate of his teammates in his hands. All right. The two of them positioned the firearms on the paint can, first emptying the magazines, then disassembling the guns into their individual components for the sake of fairness. 10 seconds, and then we begin assembling, Han Li stated. Li Yi focused intently on the parts laid before him, his mind racing with memories of firearm assembly. He was confident he could reassemble the weapon within a minute. There was a chance. 10, 9, 8, Han Li counted down. Those fleeting 10 seconds felt interminable to Li Yi. 3, 2, Han Li paused, if only to unsettle his opponent. 1. In an instant, both men bowed their heads and swiftly set to work assembling the firearms on the table. The complexity of the components was akin to threading a needle. For any officer, assembling a firearm was one of the most daunting tasks. Li Yi, however, was intimately familiar with firearms. He had meticulously arranged the parts in his mind in the correct order, simulating the process countless times. Once he began, he moved with astonishing speed. Faster, even faster. Before him lay the lives of his teammates. With all his might, Li Yi had assembled 2/3 of the weapon. And with just the magazine left to attach, he could finish. The final step. He affixed the magazine and completed the assembly, exhaling a sigh of relief. Yet, as he lifted his gaze, he was struck dumb, as if plunged into an icy abyss. A chill coursed down his spine, enveloping him entirely, leaving him paralyzed with fear. Before him, Han Li had already assembled the firearm, even loading it with bullets, yawning as he aimed it at his forehead. You have lost. The audience watching this deadly confrontation online was utterly astounded, having witnessed the entire ordeal from beginning to end. They fervently wished that the robber had resorted to deceit. However, Han Li ruthlessly overwhelmed them with his prowess. A firearms expert, dining at the moment, was taken aback and spewed his noodles upon observing Han Li's masterful assembly of the weapon. Old man, you claim to have been the national champion in gun assembly? Remarked an elder beside him casually. Indeed, no one can match my speed. How fast are we talking? 48 seconds. Impressive, isn't it? The old man boasted proudly, his record remaining unchallenged to this day. Yet, his son, with an expression of disbelief, turned to him and exclaimed, this person finished in just 15 seconds. The elder's small eyes widened like brass bells as he gasped. 15 seconds, a veritable flash. Impossible. Look, he set down his phone, incredulously gazing at his foolish son. Damn it, my record is gone. A prodigy. Quickly, post this on the firearms forum. A peerless master has emerged. Before long, Han Li's video created a sensation on the forum, and countless individuals worshipped him as the god of guns. You have lost. Li Yi was momentarily stunned. Before he could react, a thunderous crash echoed, like something heavy striking the ground. He twitched and raised his head to look into the distance. A figure, suspended in the air, suddenly plummeted, landing heavily on the ground, motionless. The viewers in the live stream exclaimed, is President Han serious? Oh my god, he actually killed someone. This can't be real. No. Han Li's cold voice resonated in Li Yi's ears. What will you wager next? He felt his footing falter. I bet on a duel. Very well. 3 minutes later, Han Li delivered a powerful kick that sent Li Yi flying, causing him to cough up blood as he crashed against the wall. It was a complete domination. Li Yi felt utterly helpless, nearly questioning his existence. How can a robber be more formidable than a police chief? You have lost. Han Li concluded, releasing a rope. No, please. As his words fell silent, Li Yi watched in horror as yet another teammate plummeted rapidly to the ground, lifeless upon impact. His mouth gaped open, yet no sound escaped, his eyes bloodshot with despair overwhelming him. The livestream viewers gasped. Oh my, this is real. At that moment, panic ensued. President Han has crossed the line. My goodness, I knew he would become a criminal. He is no good person. Suddenly, Han Li's detractors emerged like mushrooms after rain, vehemently criticizing him. In the production team's backstage, an eerie silence enveloped the space. Director, we are going to jail. I anticipated such a day. Thankfully, I deleted those 200 gigabytes of data. The director, frantic, attempted to make a phone call, but found it futile. This is disastrous. Portrayal. Indeed, it is portrayal. On the other end, he could not restrain his tears, pleading, I beg you, spare my comrades. Even in such a state, Han Li remained silent, merely pondering, what shall you wager? Li Yi gritted his teeth, for this brigand was formidable, excelling in both marksmanship and combat. He was no ordinary criminal. He wiped away his tears, resolutely determined to save his teammates, exclaiming, I wager this time. He selected the aspect in which he excelled the most. Alas, he still faced defeat. Bang! 2 figures collapsed to the ground. Li Yi knelt, tears streaming down his face, realizing that even in his area of expertise, he could not surpass his opponent. Despair enveloped him completely. You may kill me, but spare them. Han Li seized his hair, declaring, there remains one more. What shall you wager? Li Yi, overwhelmed, felt his once resilient heart shatter mercilessly. A sense of helplessness washed over him. The viewers in the live broadcast were startled by Han's unprecedented coldness. Li Yi stammered, I shall not wager anymore. Fearful, the mighty Li Yi was afraid at this moment. Inside the police station, countless officers remained eerily silent. Had they been in his position, they too would struggle to bear such pressure. The chief's teeth were clenched in fury. Never before has there been a criminal like Han Li, who mercilessly slaughters officers. Terrifying. Useless. Han Li released Li Yi, and before his eyes, he hurled the last person down with brutal force. Bang. Ding dong. Even the system could no longer bear witness. Congratulations, host. You have acquired the title Perverse Killer. Reward skill, Killing Intent Slaughter. Killing Intent Slaughter. Unleash an incomprehensibly terrifying aura of killing intent, affecting the will of others. Remarkably powerful. It feels as though you are insulting me, dog system. Li Yi desperately ran over, and Han Li did not hinder him. Just then, bang. The rear door was shattered open, and the captain of the criminal investigation unit from the city stormed in with a team of supporting officers. He glanced at the bodies lying on the ground and at the weeping Li Yi. Finally, he looked toward Han Li, standing in the center. Take him down. You are suspected of murdering multiple officers. You, boy, await your doom. Han Li retorted. How do you know I have committed murder? Chapter 190, a mint? I am thrilled. Do you think we are blind? Quickly, restrain him. Witnessing Han Li's indifference, the officers were momentarily taken aback. What is happening? At that moment, Li Yi's exclamation captured the attention of many officers. He approached the body of his teammate. Upon closer inspection, what he saw were not corpses, but rather lifelike dummies. Dummies? Han Li, you terrified me. Where's Hazy? Come out and face the consequences. Li Yi, amidst the sea of dummies, had previously been too anxious, compounded by the lighting, rendering him incapable of discerning the truth. Where are my teammates? Turning around, everyone realized that Han Li had already vanished. Where is he? Quickly search. 10 minutes later, in the hidden confines of a clandestine chamber within the metropolis, the police officers discovered the unconscious members of the Serious Crimes Unit, soundly asleep. The bloodstains upon the floor were nothing more than convincingly realistic tomato juice, merely the tricks of mischief makers. Thus, it was revealed that this was merely a drill. Subsequently, the director of the production team candidly communicated with the officers, unveiling the truth. When the director mentioned that the mastermind behind it all was none other than the infamous Han Li, a wave of trepidation washed over the police officers. Goodness, Han Li. He is the audacious individual who dared to demolish the Cherry Blossom Tower. I have heard whispers that the wealthy in London have been ensnared by his machinations. Ingzhou has barred Han Li from entry. To oppose him is to court death without clarity. Particularly evident was the expression of Li Yi, who was most taken aback. He had not anticipated that the individual in question was Han Li. Damn it, he had been bested once again by this fiend. He initially believed that honing his skills in the metropolis would enable him to catch up, yet the reality was brutally harsh. He was far from being Han Li's match. Should Han Li so desire, the annihilation of the squad could transpire in mere minutes. Returning to the matter at hand, Li Yi addressed his subordinates. This time, have you grasped the lesson Han Li imparted? Indeed, came the collective, their heads bowed in shame. They had been excessively arrogant, and such hubris had led to today as calamity. Li Yi resolved to absorb this lesson and emerge stronger. Meanwhile, Han Li's audacious exploits had captivated the online community, where everyone affectionately referred to him as Azu. Today my wife insisted I dress as Azu. What should I do? Bro, I feel you. Damn, Azu looks incredibly dashing. One man, single-handedly decimating the Serious Crimes Unit of the metropolis. Who else could accomplish such a feat? It's truly terrifying. Within the precinct, the chief of police sighed, lamenting his naivety, having believed that the Serious Crimes Unit could resolve all issues. Until encountering Han Li, he had not comprehended what a true villain entailed. Incorrect, interjected the professors. Suddenly serious. You remain oblivious to Han Li's intentions. He is inoculating you. Rest assured, the Serious Crimes Unit shall only grow stronger next time. This perspective, upon reflection, was not without merit. After all, no lives were lost, and these individuals would likely emerge from this ordeal with renewed vigor. Indeed, it could be seen as a fortuitous occurrence. The chief soon found solace in this realization and even felt gratitude towards Han Li for his merciless training of the unit. Why must you resort to such extremes? The director lamented, believing Han Li had crossed the line, anxiety etched upon his face. Upon returning to the airport in the metropolis, Han Li smiled and remarked, the stronger the police officers become, the safer the citizens will be, wouldn't you agree? You can articulate human sentiments. The viewers in the live stream were moved to tears. Goodness, the perspective has broadened. Han Li declared, you think I am a deviant? Nay, this is a matter of righteousness. The officer replied, I thank you. The director of the production team inquired, what are your plans now? Homeward bound. It has been far too long since I last returned. Han Li responded, concluding his call with the director. He then retrieved his ticket to City S, preparing to embark. Suddenly, a man, seemingly by chance, brushed against him. Apologies. The foreign gentleman smiled and departed, his back turned to Han Li. With a triumphant smile, Lena exclaimed, I have obtained his fingerprints. Han Li, noticing nothing amiss, proceeded to board the plane with his ticket in hand. 10 minutes later, he returned to City S. To be fair, ever since his departure, the safety of the city had significantly improved, with hardly any criminal incidents reported. The streets bustled with cheerful crowds, and to Han Li's surprise, Yan Qing had been appointed as the deputy director. What piqued his interest most was the recent rumor about the most popular actress in China, Fan Shui, who was performing in a series of shows in their city. Han Li observed the myriad advertisements featuring her, each more captivating than the last. It was said that many industry magnates sought to possess her, yet none succeeded, for she had a prosperous father, a figure of considerable influence, whom no one dared to offend. Furthermore, it was rumored that a new printing factory had recently been established in City S. A printing factory. Was this a sign of disrespect towards him? This was intolerable. Han Li felt an undeniable thrill, not merely for monetary gain, but rather for the excitement of the chase. Thus, he decided to attend Fan Shui's fan meeting, eager to partake in the experience as a fan and perhaps seize an opportunity. Inside the hall, it was packed with people, guarded by numerous bodyguards, leaving Han Li with little chance to act. On stage stood a stunning woman, exuding charm, who warmly waved to her fans below, her gentle smile illuminating the room. Ah, Shui, I love you. The fans erupted in fervor. The viewers in the live stream were bewildered. What is going on? President Han has suddenly shown up at the fan meeting? Fan Shui appeared alluringly captivating. However, Unbeknownst to them, while everyone assumed President Han was merely there to indulge in fandom, he stealthily slipped away from the venue, heading towards the parking lot. What was he doing? A sense of foreboding washed over him. Han Li glanced around, ensuring the coast was clear, before approaching a black luxury van. Yes, this was the one. He had seen the paparazzi's photographs of Fan Shui departing in this vehicle. Without hesitation, he retrieved a wire and deftly pried the door open. With the door ajar, he took a deep breath, feeling satisfied. The live stream was ablaze with excitement. Incredible. What a bold move. Han Li nestled himself into the trunk of the car, shutting the lid and closing his eyes, ready to rest. Meanwhile, Fan Shui, draped in a coat and resembling a celestial being, stood poised and elegant. Yawning, she remarked, I need to get home to sleep. Miss. The second son of the Gaoqiang group is waiting, a bodyguard urged. With that, the bodyguards retreated, silencing any further protest as the group entered the vehicle. The assistant sensed something was amiss, though unable to articulate it, a persistent feeling that the car felt heavier. Don't joke around. Fan Shui inexplicably found herself amused and burst into laughter. By the way, Shui, is your father really planning to establish a mint in City S? Yes, she affirmed. My father said that City S is the safest. Suddenly, the ringing of a phone startled everyone in the vehicle. Whose phone is ringing? Not mine, nor ours. My phone's dead. A few of them exchanged puzzled glances, then instinctively turned toward the back of the car. The sound of the ringtone seemed to emanate from the trunk. Chapter 191. When the tiger is away, the monkeys claim kingship? Damn. Han Li was speechless. At this moment, Ling Han had caused trouble. He hastily silenced his phone. But it was too late. The abrupt ringing heightened everyone's alertness within the car. Stop the car. The bodyguard commanded, then signaled for everyone to exit. I swear, is it yet another deranged fan? This is infuriating. Fan Shui pulled the car door open in a huff. Her anger flaring at these obsessive fans who had now taken to hiding in trunks. Have they no shame? Miss, be cautious. I'm fine. Fan Shui approached the trunk, preparing to kick it out of frustration. Please step back. Let us handle this, miss. Indeed, we are professionals. Two formidable bodyguards positioned themselves behind her. One produced a stun gun, while the other prepared to open the trunk. Kid, I advise you to come out on your own. No response came. The bodyguard scoffed. You've asked for it, and forcefully opened the trunk, while his colleague raised the stun gun, ready to fire at the first sight of a target. However, to everyone's astonishment, the trunk was completely empty. What is going on? The bodyguards were baffled. Turning back, they inquired, Miss, are you certain you heard something from inside? Fan Shui nodded. The ringtone clearly came from there. At that moment, she inadvertently glanced at the roof of the car, her eyes widening in shock as if she had seen something extraordinary. On the roof, the bodyguards were a beat slow, and it was this very moment that Han Li executed a grand leap, soaring downwards. A crow on a plane. A cacophony ensued, followed by a thud. Fan Shui stared in disbelief at the bodyguards who had been swiftly taken down. What the hell? Weren't you supposed to be the Thai boxing champion from Thailand? Is this it? Who are you? Let me tell you, my father is very powerful. Fan Shui gazed at Han Li, who approached with deliberate steps, her fright mounting, akin to a frightened rabbit. She shouted, Assistant, call the police. I've already knocked her out. The increasingly panicked Fan Shui continued to retreat, yelling, Stay away. Han Li chuckled softly. Calm down. I'm not here to harm you. I merely wish to invite you for a cup of milk tea. Who are you trying to deceive? You are merely envious of my beauty. Without waiting for Fan Shui to respond, Han Li swiftly intervened, initiating a hypnotic suggestion. Remember, from this moment on, you are under my command, Han Li. You must obey my every instruction, do you understand? He then released Fan Shui and snapped his fingers. With a sharp sound, Fan Shui opened her eyes once more, her expression softening. All right, brother Han. Yes, get in the car. Fan Shui nodded obediently and followed Han Li into the vehicle. The audience in the live stream was bewildered. Han the thief, draw your sword. Someone must perish today. Oh, my goddess Fan, she's no longer pure. Curse it, President Han, come clean, confess to receive leniency, I wish to learn. Countless single spectators erupted with excitement. This hypnotic technique was simply astounding. Who could resist its allure? President Han, this reminds me of a movie. Shut up, you upstairs. I can't keep up with the speed. Han Li, seated in the driver's seat, was too lazy to drive and let Fan Shui take the wheel. Upon witnessing this scene, the audience suddenly regained their composure. What a waste of resources. A typical straight man. Now, call your father and tell him you've been kidnapped. Oh, how should I address you? The bandit, Peiqi. Fan Shui replied. So cool. Han Li said, Hello, Daddy, I've been kidnapped. Yes, by someone named Bandit Peiqi. That is all I was told. Fan Shui promptly hung up the phone. How did I perform? Han Li gave a thumbs up. Not bad. Meanwhile, in an office, Fan Debao, who was managing the establishment of a new money printing factory, was initially bewildered and then horrified. Oh no, my daughter has been kidnapped. Quickly, contact that bandit. Whatever he demands, I shall provide. She is my only precious daughter. Han Li pulled out his phone. Since their departure from S-City, the management of the guest house had been entrusted to Grandma, and he wondered how she was faring. Hello, Grandma. How have you been? Boss, it's you. I'm doing well, all is well. Han Li replied. Just a moment, I'll return to the guest house. Sorry for the trouble. At this point, Grandma suddenly fell silent, prompting Han Li to furrow his brow and inquire, what's wrong? With a bitter tone, Grandma lamented, I'm afraid it's not possible. The guest house has been seized. What? Han Li could hardly believe it. Under the broad daylight, how could someone dare to take what belonged to him? What happened? With tears streaming down her face, Grandma recounted the entire ordeal to Han Li. Essentially, after Han Li's departure, a series of incidents catapulted him to fame, drawing in a multitude of fans, while simultaneously attracting some reckless individuals who set their sights on him. During Han Li's absence, a gang of competitors, having learned of his guest house, brazenly intruded, driving Grandma away and claiming it as their own. Now, they had established themselves as the rulers of that mountain. Given the gang's nefarious reputation, even the police of S-City were at a loss. Thus, the situation had dragged on until now. I understand. The elderly woman wiped away her tears as a group of young men harassed her, a frail old lady utterly defenseless. Upon hearing this, Han Li's anger surged within him. Such blatant bullying was intolerable. It was as if a tiger was at home, and the monkeys declared themselves kings. This matter would be entrusted to me. After hanging up the phone, Han Li called Deputy Chief Yanqing of the police station to inquire about this mysterious gang. Yanqing was somewhat surprised by Han Li's return. This gang consists of formidable individuals. I will send you the information. Thank you. Are you planning to leave S-City after this? What? Yanqing hesitated. I mentioned before that I would treat you to a meal. Nearby, Fan Shui perked up, paying keen attention. Let us save the meal for next time. Fan Shui was speechless regarding Han Li. Han Li instructed Fan Shui to drive towards the hill where the inn was located. Before long, they arrived at the foot of the mountain, and Han Li was astonished to see the sign erected there. Wuxing Mountain. This mountain didn't have that name before. Good heavens. 5 monkeys dare to call themselves saints. What audacity. They truly consider themselves the kings of a counterfeit realm, don't they? The viewers in the live stream were exhilarated, anticipating a good show. Mr. Han, teach them a lesson. Damn it, it's heating up. Han Li ripped down the sign, holding it in his hand, and said to Fan Shui, come on, let us head up the mountain. At the inn on Wuxing Mountain, a few local ruffians were gathered, drinking and carelessly vandalizing the property. What are you doing? This is my beloved's inn. The group turned to see the elderly woman angrily scolding them. This was her 10th visit. Without fail, she faced the same disrespect. This time, however, she was determined not to leave without a fight. The ruffians laughed wickedly, and the leader set down his drink. Old 3. A burly man stood up and shoved the elderly woman to the ground, sneering, this is now the territory of our Wuxing gang. Get out. You are going too far. The old woman cried, tears streaming down her face, shocked that such scoundrels still existed in society. Yet, to the ruffian's surprise, the elderly lady stubbornly stood up again, showing no intention of retreating. My boss is coming back, she declared. Your boss? What a joke. When he arrives, he's as good as dead. Old 3 stepped forward, seizing the old woman's neck, lifting her frail body off the ground. I advise you to leave, he threatened. The old woman's face twisted in pain, her body trembling. Yet she resolutely replied, this is my home. Ha ha ha, you old hag. Old 3 swung his fist, ready to strike. But at that critical moment, a figure appeared, one hand gripping Old 3's muscular arm. The crowd was taken aback. Who are you? Old 3 glared at the newcomer, incredulous at the sight of such a young and handsome individual. Boss. Han Li glanced at the old woman and said, respect for the elderly and love for the young. Hasn't your mother taught you that? In the next moment, the third man trembled all over, feeling as if his usual invincible strength was gradually being worn down by this man's slender arms. He gritted his teeth and exerted all his might, but to his horror, he found himself utterly powerless to retaliate. Third brother, are you capable of handling this? Damn it, don't go easy on him. That scrawny fellow, deal with him. The crowd clamored. While they shouted, the third man, facing away from them, looked utterly horrified, glancing fearfully at Han Li. What is happening? Bang. A crisp sound heralded an unexpected turn of events. Han Li suddenly exerted force, gripping the third man's arm and flipping him over effortlessly. Hiss. Han is magnificent. Tyrant. It's you. With a resounding crash, the dust settled, leaving the third man dazed, his eyes swirling with stars. Meanwhile, the young man stood motionless, ensuring everything was in order before gently placing the old woman down. Boss, sob, don't worry, Grandma. I'm back. Brother. I don't recall us having any grievances, do we? The eldest brother remarked, astonished. This young man possessed divine strength. Damn it. I thought such things only existed in novels. Today, I encountered the real deal. Indeed, why not each take a step back and let the sea be vast and the sky high? The other ruffians began to panic. Han Li remained silent. Receiving a plaque from Fan Shui, he addressed the group. Is this yours? Yes, the eldest replied. 5 saints. Such audacity. Suddenly, Han Li, in front of everyone, tossed the plaque into the air, executing a beautiful spinning kick that shattered the wooden sign into 2 pieces. The ruffians exclaimed in disbelief. I'm coming up there to deal with you, Han Li declared. Fan Shui echoed. Yes, we'll deal with you. The expressions of the ruffians darkened. Clearly, It was a case of a fish dying with the net. Let us do it. We're not to be trifled with. The audience in the live stream erupted. Damn it, we're going all out. The second brother brandished a butterfly knife and charged at Hanli. In but a moment, the man remained while the knife vanished. What? My butterfly knife? Is this what you mean? Hanli effortlessly revealed a butterfly knife in his left hand. The second brother was astonished. This is unbelievable, a thief. I'm coming. The fourth brother jumped out, drawing a crossbow from his waist. Kid, don't blame me for being ruthless. The second brother felt elated. His sibling was a shooting champion. However, before he could pull it out, his hat was suddenly knocked off. The fourth brother stood there, stunned, his hand frozen mid-draw. His eyes widening. What the hell, a master? Hanli lowered a special revolver he had crafted in Ingzhou, blowing on it. Who else is there? I surrender. The fourth brother immediately knelt, raising both hands high. Pa, coward. The second brother scoffed, also kneeling, laughing. Little brother, don't be rash. You're still young. The audience in the live stream was in stitches. Is this all? 5 saints, challenging my Han. You seek death. The second brother remarked. This isn't cowardice, it's simply following one's heart. As the three faced defeat, the fifth brother glanced at the eldest brother and asked, what should we do now? With a sigh, he replied, it seems I must take charge again. Young one, you still have a chance to escape. Hanli questioned, what happens if I don't flee? A sinister smile spread across his face, followed by a terrified scream from Fan Shui. Ah, look, brother Han. Hanli was taken aback, astonished by the sight before him. The courtyard had become infested with centipedes, venomous snakes, and a multitude of pests, all converging ominously toward him, as if to encircle him. Good heavens, this is terrifying. Disgusting. Hanli glared at the eldest brother, who seemed unperturbed while the insects avoided him. It dawned on him that this was all his doing. You can control these pests? Indeed. I am known as the king of poisons from the northwest, proclaimed Yin Fanliang with a mischievous grin. Fan Shui clutched Han Li's sleeve in fear. She loathed those creatures. As the army of insects advanced towards her shoes, she wept. We're doomed. Huh, that's what you get for being arrogant. 30 years on the west bank, 30 years on the east. Who would have thought? The second and fourth brothers stood up once more. This time, let us see how you escape. The eldest brother raised his hand, and a sinister white snake seemed to heed his command, rearing up and opening its gaping maw to strike at Hanli. The viewers in the live stream felt a shiver run down their spines. Meanwhile, in another location, an elderly man gazed at his phone, murmuring, the king of poisons from the northwest, Yin Fanliang, has gone to City S? This could spell trouble. Grandpa, can Hanli defeat him? Asked a young boy, looking up at his grandfather, a former expert in poisons. The elder shook his head. An army of such venomous creatures would be too much for even my younger self to handle, let alone an ordinary person. The Northwest's foremost poison king is formidable. Don't you think? Chapter 193, Subduing the Five Saints, Hypnotizing with a Snap, Shocking the Scientific Community. Little brat, if you plead for mercy now, I might let you off, Yin Fanliang declared, hands on his hips, exuding confidence. Anyone facing such an unexpected army of venomous creatures would falter. Previously, a police chief who attempted to suppress them had suffered greatly, leaving many female officers traumatized. Isn't that the famous actress? One of the onlookers exclaimed. Wow. Just wait until we bring her over, it'll be delightful. Please no? Fan Shui cried. The army of insects was now a mere step away from Hanli. The first to strike was the white snake, remarkably agile. It lunged and swiftly coiled around Hanli, encircling him with alarming speed until it reached his neck. Hiss. This is perilous. A bite from this snake could be fatal, declared an animal expert. This species is exceptionally lethal, especially the white variant, whose venom is 10 times more potent than average. Speak plainly. A bite would leave you gravely injured, if not dead. Hanli found himself ensnared, unable to move. To his astonishment, despite its small size, the white snake's constricting power was nearly equal to his full strength. A hissing white serpent flicked its tongue, poised as if ready to feast. Its venomous fangs were already in place. Yin Fanliang sneered. You are already dead. At that moment, Hanli, who had remained motionless for a considerable time, produced a watch, waving it tantalizingly before the white serpent. What on earth was he doing? Boss. He aims to hypnotize your snake. Laughter erupted. Ha ha, this is absurd. Is he a fool? Several ruffians laughed heartily. They had never encountered such a fool. Attempting to hypnotize a snake? Did he think he was a Piper of Hamelin? However, to their astonishment, the once ferocious white serpent fixated on the watch, swaying gently. Not only the white serpent, but also the entire army of venomous creatures inexplicably ceased their movements, oscillating in an eerie rhythm. This scene left Yin Fanliang and his companions utterly bewildered. The livestream audience was equally perplexed. As the white serpent gradually released Hanli, leisurely sliding onto his shoulder, it had lost all its aggressiveness. Shall I bite him? Commanded Yin Fanliang. The serpent remained still. What the hell? That's my snake. In a more terrifying turn of events, as Hanli slowly turned to face Yin Fanliang and his cohorts, countless poisonous creatures simultaneously redirected their gaze towards them. What are you doing? I am your master. Kill him. Hanli ordered. Surround him. Instantly, a tidal wave of venomous creatures surged towards Yin Fanliang and his group, encircling them with ferocity. The situation had flipped in an instant. The live stream audience erupted. Incredible. He can even hypnotize venomous creatures. How astonishing. Han Li declared, your snake is quite impressive. However, it now belongs to me. The scene was astounding. In a certain valley, an elderly expert in the art of insect manipulation snatched his grandson's phone. Fixated on the unfolding spectacle. It was inconceivable, beyond comprehension, simply astonishing. Grandpa, what does astonishing mean? It means something extraordinary. This was the first time in his life he had witnessed someone hypnotizing venomous creatures for control. It was simply unprecedented. Even the Poison King would have to kneel before such prowess. Meanwhile, in a domestic research center, a professor specializing in hypnosis noticed a group of students gathered around a phone, neglecting their important experiments to watch some trivial live stream. I say, why waste time on such nonsense instead of focusing on serious matters? One student interjected, Professor, do you think it's possible for a person to control insects? Control insects? Silly child, have you watched too many movies? The professor was momentarily speechless, then chuckled. Ah, I understand the pain of your sleepless nights impersonating scholars. To date, no one has achieved such a feat, but Mr. Han seems to be an exception. Mr. Han, other students chimed in. He hypnotized a whole swarm of insects, and even a white serpent. The professor was taken aback. Thus, he too joined the throng, unable to contain his astonishment, repeatedly exclaiming, incredible, incredible, incredible. This is a groundbreaking event, a monumental leap in human history. It is astonishing that there exists an individual capable of commanding a multitude of insects through a mere timepiece. This marks a groundbreaking moment in the annals of hypnosis. Could it possibly surpass our own abilities? The professor exclaimed vehemently, with the Gubo experiment. We could secure the Nobel Prize, the pinnacle of scientific honor. The crowd gaped in disbelief. Is it true? I, Han Li, an ordinary passerby, have casually unraveled a conundrum that the scientific community has long grappled with. With one decisive action, I shall apply for the Nobel Prize. The professor, brimming with excitement, realized that at this very moment, a descendant of Huaxiao was crafting a legend. In the realm of hypnosis, he was indeed invincible. Brother, who exactly are you to this elderly lady? Several bruised ruffians, trembling in fear, bowed before the old woman, vowing to rectify their misdeeds at the inn. I am Han Li, Han Li, Han Li. Yin fondly gasped in astonishment. The notorious Peiqi bandit. Why didn't you say so sooner? To be bested by Han Li is a privilege of a lifetime. Laughter erupted. We, the Five Saints, have made a name for ourselves. Just look at the caliber of those who have crossed paths with Han Li. Now, their status had undeniably ascended. You truly possess no shame, Han Li remarked. Brother Han. That snake. Fan Shui pointed at the white serpent coiled around Han Li's neck, writhing and emitting peculiar sounds, as if in heat. Ha ha ha, the allure of Han Li. Even the snake is captivated. Everyone, I have a bold proposition. You there above, you were speeding, accompany me for a moment. Yin fondly recounted the events surrounding their occupation of the inn to Han Li, revealing that they merely sought to elevate their own notoriety. Especially since Han Li had become a figure of immense popularity. Having been defeated, do as you wish. I, the foremost Poison King of the Northwest, am no coward. The second, third, fourth, and fifth members fell silent. Boss, you are not. We are. We fear for our lives. Fear not, you still hold value. Han Li replied with a mysterious smile, brandishing the hypnotic watch before them once more. Soon, the Five Saints ceased to exist, replaced by 5 steadfast and loyal followers of Han Li. From now on, you shall be known as the Five Mice. Brother Han, I would brave any peril for you. I stand firm behind my principles. Damn it, if I perish, Han Li must not. Yin fondly declared passionately, I pledge my unwavering allegiance to Han Li. Fan Shui, taken aback, wondered at their swift transformation. Brother Han, what is the matter? Han Li turned, puzzled. Fan Shui, appearing bashful, confessed, I twisted my ankle. Could you carry me? Her vulnerability was captivating. The 5 mice looked on, their hearts stirred. Sister, I shall carry you. Han Li glanced at her, then produced a branch he had found, handing it to her. This might help. Let us proceed. Goodness, how ruthless. Within the precinct, Yanqing suddenly received a call from the recently prominent figure, Mr. Fan, who had established a printing factory and brought considerable benefits to City S. Oh dear, my daughter. I understand now. Yanqing sighed as she hung up the phone. It was evident that only Han Li could audaciously abduct a celebrity in broad daylight. Deputy Chief. Does Han Li have feelings for Fan Shui? Impossible. Yanqing felt a surge of agitation but quickly regained her composure, stating, clearly, he is after the printing factory. Upon hearing this, the other officers in the S City police station were taken aback. This is bad. That cursed memory has returned. Chapter 194, Dual Line Combat. I've got this. Han Li's move undoubtedly challenged the S City police station, inadvertently granting an advantage to the officers. However, for some inexplicable reason, Yanqing felt an overwhelming pressure, akin to a formidable world boss returning to a novice village to wreak havoc on NPCs. We must formulate a plan immediately. In the midst of the night, the police station was brightly lit, with meetings ongoing. Simultaneously, the city police station communicated with the officers responsible for the printing factory, who had been transferred from other regions and were fresh graduates from the police academy, lacking much experience. Robbers? Let them come. They'll find me unyielding. Yanqing sighed. Ah, the youth of today. At the mountain lodge, Han Li oversaw the renovations, and the old woman returned to the front desk to continue her work. After dinner, the group gathered in a small room to discuss the plans for robbing the printing factory. Han Li turned to Fan Shui and inquired. You are familiar with your family's printing factory. You must know its structural layout, correct? Indeed, she replied, sharing all the information she had about the factory's internal structure and personnel. Is this a complete betrayal? Fan Shui had already begun to align herself with Han Li. On the easel behind, the entire layout of the printing factory was sketched out as Han Li utilized his orator skill to begin persuading the group. First, we must address security. The plan is meticulous. However, one of the group members expressed doubt. But can we really pull this off? We are merely a bunch of ruffians, with only the leader having some prowess. Rumor has it that the printing factory is filled with armed officers, each ready with firearms. Moreover, another voice chimed in. I feel there is something amiss. Suddenly, Yin Fanli seemed to regard Han Li as a true brother and spoke up. The other side should be aware of our objective. Wouldn't that be disadvantageous for us? Han Li replied. So what if they know? The 5 ruffians were momentarily stunned. Damn, no wonder he's a big shot. His words carry weight. The more Fan Shui observed Han Li, the more her eyes sparkled with admiration. What is the time frame? Han Li responded. Let us set it for 2 days from now. During this time, you all should rest well, while I attend to some matters. What matters? One of the members asked. Do not inquire about what should remain unasked. Han Li shot him a cold glare. The third brother immediately lowered his head to his chest, still haunted by the memory of being effortlessly overturned by Han Li, feeling as insignificant as an ant. What about me? Fan Shui suddenly inquired, leaving everyone, including Han Li, perplexed. Are you serious? That's your biological father. Han Li asked, his mouth twitching. Fan Shui nodded. This is too thrilling. I can't possibly miss out. All right then, Han Li said as he retrieved several masks from a nearby bag, adhering to the tradition that each person should select one, thereby assigning themselves a unique code name. Nearby the printing plant, several young police officers buzzed with enthusiasm, warmly welcoming Han Li's arrival. A ruthless bandit? So what? I've heard that Han Li is the foremost criminal in Huaxia. Huh, that's merely a show. Do you really believe it? Yet, following the international incidents, the young officers felt a twinge of insecurity. They maintained a brave front, but deep down, they were apprehensive, after all. This was the man bold enough to attempt an assassination on the Emperor of Yingzhou. No worries, we have Captain Liu. He is the one who can make Han Li pay. At that moment, a young officer spoke up. Hurry, Captain Liu seems to have something to say. A few minutes later, in the conference room, everyone beheld Lu Dong, who appeared as casual as before. I presume everyone is aware that the notorious Han Li is planning to rob the printing plant? Upon hearing this, the crowd gasped in astonishment. I have a plan, Lu Dong declared, determined to capture Han Li, particularly enraged after learning of his beloved disciple's brutal treatment at Han Li's hands. After Lu Dong laid out his strategy, the room fell into stunned silence, deeply shaken. Time, 9:20 a.m. On the hillside, among the thickets, figures were lying in ambush. The second brother was using binoculars to survey a road below. They had divided into 2 groups. One was headed towards the vicinity of the printing plant, while they were tasked with intercepting the cash transport vehicle, effectively conducting a dual operation. The success of the second brother's team was crucial, prompting Han Li to provide them with several high-quality specialized weapons, such as sniper rifles. The fourth brother was particularly enamored, behaving like a lovesick girl, constantly fondling his firearm. How's it going? The third brother huffed as he approached, responsible for laying landmines. The specially designed mines, crafted by Han Li, possessed sufficient power to immobilize the cash transport vehicle. Damn it, I'm exhausted. Everything is in place. We just need the right timing. The second brother slapped him hard. Shut up with your nonsense. Are you planning to take the exam? The fifth brother and the others quietly awaited their cue. According to Fan Shui's intel, the cash transport vehicle was expected to pass this way shortly. However, as time slowly ticked away, the group of ruffians saw no sign of the vehicle. Damn, where is it? The third brother exclaimed. Could they have changed routes? They must have anticipated our target and adjusted their plans. The fifth brother, the most timid among them, trembled while holding his gun. Useless. Meanwhile, near the printing plant, time was running short. Han Li sat in the van, glancing at his watch. Beside him were Fan Shui and the Poison King, Yin Fanliang, who had the ability to control venomous insects. The trio had previously scouted the area. In recent days, the security surrounding the printing factory had become increasingly stringent, with patrols frequently traversing the vicinity, presenting a far greater challenge than what Fan Shui had initially disclosed. However, the greater the difficulty, the more exhilarating the conquest became. It is noteworthy that few dared to directly rob a printing factory within Huaxia. With the aid of Eagle Eye, Han Li could perceive the distant happenings with remarkable clarity, even catching sight of a police officer slacking off, clandestinely smoking a cigarette. Ah, a vehicle, he remarked. Indeed. At that moment, an armored truck emerged from the printing factory and sped away. It appeared to be transporting currency. George, prepare to take action. Han Li instructed through the intercom. Received. On the hillside, several ruffians who had long been waiting grew impatient as they heard the approaching roar of the vehicle. The armored truck. That's it. Second, you go ahead and engage them. Try to lure them into the minefield. Remember to be adaptable. These officers might have their own schemes. Han Li directed. Understood. The second swiftly dashed down the hill. The viewers in the live stream were ecstatic. Watch my moves, exclaimed the second. Damn it, we're finally robbing it. I've been waiting for this, he declared as the armored truck suddenly halted in response to his unexpected appearance, the two young officers inside exchanging glances. Comrade, my leg is broken. Could you give me a ride? The second feigned a pitiful demeanor, looking toward the officers inside the vehicle. Chapter 195, a forceful assault on the printing factory. In that moment, he resembled a deity of firearms. A broken leg? The second touched his thigh, feigning pain. The officer in the passenger seat gripped his specialized firearm tightly, displaying signs of tension, while the slightly older officer beside him chuckled. What brings you out to this desolate place? The second, adept at improvisation, replied, Oh, I just came to gather some vegetables in the mountains. Please. It's not far ahead. He gestured toward a specific spot up ahead, which was precisely where the minefield lay concealed. Once the armored truck ventured into that area, it would surely be incapacitated. Inside the vehicle, the two officers exchanged troubled glances. At that moment, the second showcased his cunning. He produced a cigarette and said with a grin, How about a smoke? It's quite invigorating. Ha ha ha. However, the officer in the passenger seat declined the offer, hesitating to bring this individual along. According to protocol, they could not do so. Hence the officer in the driver's seat firmly stated, Brother, according to the rules, we cannot take you with us. I hope you understand. The second glared, unwilling to let them leave. Is it truly impossible? The two officers' expressions darkened. This individual was tenacious and troublesome, unmistakably a ruffian. Enough talk, accelerate, commanded the driver through gritted teeth. All right. The officer pressed the accelerator, speeding away. Disregarding the second's attempts to cling on, the vehicle surged forward. The second in command gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. Damn it, are they trying to trick me? Brothers, let us take action. He was no fool. He understood that their adversaries were attempting to escape and immediately called the men on the hillside to block their path. Whether by design or sheer coincidence, the vehicle, accelerating with all its might, veered slightly and barreled straight into the minefield. They had shaken them off. No sooner had he spoken than a thunderous explosion erupted beneath the car. A tire burst, causing the vehicle to skid to a halt. What is happening? Get out. It's an ambush. The vehicle's incapacitated. On the hillside, a mighty roar echoed. Here come the heroes. Let us seize that loot. The second in command grabbed the radio and spoke to Brother Han. We've made our move. With that, he armed himself with a specialized firearm and, along with the third in command and others, engaged in a fierce gunfight with the police officers who had exited the vehicle. With a series of rapid gunfire, Han Li set down the radio, his face alight with excitement. They've begun. Let us join in. Fan Shui, exhilarated, realized it was her first time participating in such an event. In the next moment, the alarm system at the front of the cash transport vehicle, which had been functioning normally, abruptly lost signal, leaving several guards momentarily stunned. The bandits are here. At that moment, the police officers ambushed at the entrance sprang into action. For Han Li, they had equipped themselves with powerful, specialized weaponry, determined to ensure he wouldn't leave unscathed. Suddenly, a multitude of venomous creatures, having appeared out of nowhere, swarmed the ground, sending shivers down their spines. Scorpions, toads, and wasps. What on earth was happening? Oh no, I'm terrified of bugs. Are these guns even effective? Damn it. Retreat, retreat. The heavily armed SWAT officers felt an inexplicable frustration, yet they were compelled to hastily withdraw as the army of venomous creatures forced them back. Behind this horde of insects stood a man wearing a scorpion mask, who, with a whistle, commanded the swarm, overwhelming the officers with sheer surprise. They had never anticipated such a tactic. The viewers in the live broadcast exploded with excitement. Wow, this scorpion tactic is brilliant. Incredible. One officer exclaimed, What the hell? Now we have venomous creatures to contend with? This is an all-out assault. It was more thrilling than a movie. Taking advantage of the chaos at the entrance, Han Li, armed and accompanied by Fan Shui, stealthily infiltrated the printing factory from a less defended flank. In no time, they seized the high ground. What are you planning to do? Fan Shui asked, bewildered, as she crouched with a striking sniper rifle slung across her shoulder. Han Li leaned against her, aiming the weapon. Eagle eye. From above, he surveyed the scene below, and the first shot rang out. Bang. One officer, bewildered, looked at the smoke surrounding him. Am I finished? Damn it. The enemy has a sniper. The officers were thrown into disarray. There. They quickly located Han Li at the highest point, preparing to retaliate, yet none dared to act. Why aren't we moving? The squad leader questioned, perplexed. Report, Captain, he has taken the young lady hostage. Huh. Han Li grinned malevolently as he aimed his weapon. Fan Shui shielded herself, knowing the enemy dared not fire. He, however, could shoot without restraint. Bang, bang, bang. Multiple shots rang out, each one finding its mark. As the bloodthirsty Han Li resembled a grim reaper, harvesting the lives of the officers one by one. Ultimately, he executed maneuvers that seemed to belong solely to the realm of video games. His blind shots were nothing short of a display of marksmanship. The officers below were left bewildered. A sharpshooter? Witnessing their retreat under Han Li's relentless sniper fire, they struggled to breathe. The audience in the live stream erupted with excitement. Oh, this is making my scalp tingle. One man is like an entire army. Brother Han, I want to shoot too. So handsome, soaring high. Ah, Fan Shui murmured. This fellow must be a devil, right? In the end, a bizarre scene unfolded. The officers eliminated by Han Li stood frozen, lighting a cigarette, taking a leisurely puff while watching Han Li eliminate their comrades. Hey, old Li, you got shot too? Come, this angle is perfect. Wow. That shot left me in awe. Hey. He's dancing unbelievable. Especially the fresh recruits, who had not yet even seen Han Li, were swiftly taken down. Now, they huddled in a corner, secretly weeping. Why is it that the disparity between us is so immense? This marksmanship, even our instructors would kneel in reverence. The live stream was in an uproar. Western Theater Commander, this marksmanship is flawless, utterly formidable. Eastern Theater Commander, Comrade Han Li, if you are eliminated, come to me. I will offer you the highest rewards. Southern Theater Commander, damn it, who dares to compete with my men? A sharpshooter who never misses, hitting every target in the head, is of immense importance to the military. The production team, staff members, for the first time, witnessed one individual suppressing a whole group. The director's phone was inundated with calls from the military seeking Han Li. The director laughed. What a splendid situation. By the way, ISNT the live stream connected to other countries? Hurry, let the world behold this spectacle. Are you serious? Soon. Han Li's live stream was modified by the production team to include other international teams. What on earth? A live stream from Huaxia. A bandit? Ridiculous, let me see. How audacious, claiming to be the sharpshooter. My country hasn't even spoken yet. A multitude of foreigners flooded into the live stream, ready to disparage Han Li. Yet, it wasn't long before they realized their ignorance. Chapter 196, Bitten Back, Caught in a Trap? The foreign live stream went utterly wild. What terrifying marksmanship is this? My goodness, 100% accuracy. Is this even human? What are the limits of Huaxia? Can that sharpshooter teach us a few tricks? A new sharpshooter indeed. I am the head of the Firearms Police Academy in M country and wish to extend an invitation for you to teach at our institution. Funding is not an issue. One by one, they were captivated. Amidst a haze of smoke, many helpless officers stood, armed with advanced specialized weapons, yet found themselves at a loss. The first line of defense at the printing facility has now crumbled. Freeze. The second in command, gun drawn, aimed at several officers ahead, effortlessly taking control of the armored vehicle. Before such overwhelming firepower, everything proved utterly futile. The eliminated officers cursed under their breath. Damn it. Is this the kind of weapon a thief possesses? Where did that guy get a Gatling gun? It's even better than what the officers have. Once again, the sound of explosives and the roar of the Gatling gun echoed, leaving the officers with no choice but to sigh in resignation. The second in command surveyed the battered armored vehicle with a grin, exclaiming, "This weapon is quite effective." He patted the trunk, where the cash remained unharmed, shielded by a thick layer of steel, allowing them to fire indiscriminately. Those who have been eliminated step down. Third, drive. We are leaving. The cash truck is ours. At that moment, they launched their attack simultaneously, catching everyone off guard. The viewers in the live broadcast were left astounded, while the invited experts nodded in agreement. Absorbing the knowledge. In the future, we shall develop strategies specifically targeting such sudden actions. Moreover, the security forces of the cash trucks must be reinforced. Indeed, their counter-reconnaissance capabilities should also be enhanced. This time, Han Li provided the officers of Huaxia with significant experience. With a dual-pronged approach, they achieved success. This is the access card. Yan fondly handed an access card to Han Li. Under the cover of the swarm of insects, the three successfully approached the armored vehicle's entrance. The door creaked open, and Han Li, accompanied by his companions, stepped into the printing facility, where the real challenges were about to commence. What the hell? Who are you? A worker stepped forward, ready to curse, only to be startled back by Han Li's gun. Everyone get down. The sound of gunfire erupted, causing many workers to drop to the floor in terror. Wait, have the robbers really come in? Aren't there many fully armed officers outside? Take us to the printing area. A worker, filled with resignation, led Han Li and his companions to the printing section of the facility. As Han Li stood before the assembly line, observing the scene, his jaw clenched tightly. Although stacks of banknotes lay before him, they were all denominations of a mere few dollars. What is this? Just a few dollars? This is infuriating. Han Li exclaimed, bewildered. Even he was taken aback. Turning to Fan Shui, he inquired, "What denominations does your family print?" "It's impossible. It used to be $100 bills." Soon, Han Li realized he had been outsmarted by the officers, a pure act of malice. "Are we supposed to take this?" Yan fondly scratched his head, admitting he had never witnessed a printing facility producing only small denominations. "Let us take it." A few individuals began to pack up and call upon other workers to assist in the exodus. Suddenly, a piercing alarm rang out, startling Han Li and the others. Who triggered the alarm? Were not all the outsiders eliminated? What is the situation? Report, Captain Liu, as you anticipated, despite our preparation of formidable new weaponry. Han Li has breached our defenses. The officers hidden outside are now advancing inward. The captain of the printing factory's security team, accompanied by the ambushed officers, swiftly surrounded the perimeter of the factory, effectively sealing it off. They had been lying in wait, ready to encircle the factory should it be compromised, thus trapping Han Li within. Alas, the cost has been heavy. This captain bore a look of sorrow, acknowledging that this rare opportunity was bought with the blood of his comrades. This time, Han Li must not escape. The officers nodded in unison, sealing the exits of the printing factory. One officer, wielding a large megaphone, shouted inside, Han Li, you are surrounded. Surrender and cease resistance. Inside the printing factory, Han Li peered through the crack of the door and saw a multitude of officers outside. It was a trap. What should be done? Fan Shueishui exclaimed. I will lead the army of venomous insects out. Yan Fanliang immediately commanded the swarm of insects to charge towards the entrance, intending to use their previous tactic to force back the officers. However, the ambushed officers had already encountered the insect army and were well prepared. One officer stepped forward, clad in protective gear and mask, wielding a jet-propelled device aimed at the advancing insects. The insects were taken aback. Is this a game we cannot play? With a loud roar, flames erupted fiercely, sweeping away the insects in their path. Yan Fanliang was struck with shock. My insects! It was a flamethrower. The once formidable army of insects was instantly halted, forced to retreat. Upon witnessing this, the officers cheered in triumph, exclaiming, now, Han Li is stripped of his insect allies, making it exceedingly difficult for him to breach our blockade. Damn it, my insects! Yan Fanliang's face contorted in anguish. Those insects were his treasures. Clearly, the adversary had dismantled their trump card. The situation was dire. Do not panic, we still have a hostage. Han Li glanced at the terrified workers around him and seized one, dragging them beneath the surveillance camera. Regardless of the circumstances, hostages are always the best bargaining chips. Come here. Han Li pressed his gun against the hostage, threatening, if you do not wish for these workers to perish, compel those officers to withdraw. His fierce demeanor escalated, exerting pressure on those behind the surveillance. Otherwise, in 5 minutes, I will execute one. As he spoke, he eliminated the worker in front of the cameras. The viewers in the live stream reacted with recognition, exclaiming that this was the notorious bandit. Every officer felt a wave of pressure wash over them. Soon a cold, indifferent voice emanated from the surveillance. Give me 10 minutes to consider. 5 minutes. No room for negotiation. Very well. Han Li left the monitoring room, vanishing from sight. On the other side, the police commissioners, observing everything through the surveillance cameras, exchanged knowing smirks. This Han Li is doomed. Team leader Liu, with uncanny foresight, recognized Han Li's attempt to obfuscate his intentions using hostages, but alas, we had long prepared for this. As he spoke, a responsible officer commanded through another encrypted channel, 5 minutes. You have only 5 minutes. Received. In the air above the mint, a helicopter swiftly approached, harboring a fully armed special operations team, seated with utmost discipline. The captain nodded to the pilot, signaling the commencement of action. The helicopter began its gradual descent until reaching the minimum altitude. Ropes were cast down. One by one, the Special Forces members stealthily ascended through the open skylight. Moments later, they had quietly infiltrated the lobby of the mint. Unbeknownst to anyone, eliminate the target, the notorious criminal Han Li. The captain ordered. Understood. Chapter 197. A single brick can bring down a warrior. Special Forces? The host in the official live broadcast was utterly taken aback. The police had actually deployed an official special operations unit. It should be noted that the prowess of Special Forces is not comparable to that of the armed police. Professor Li, what is your perspective on the police's counter-surrounding strategy? Professor Li, who had been silent, observed Han Li's predicament in the live broadcast and objectively commented. The police have executed this operation exceptionally well. It is evident that team leader Liu's cunning foresight lured Han Li into the mint, implementing a counter-surround. Even anticipating the hostage situation, given that the Special Forces have infiltrated secretly, does Han Li stand a chance of escape? Professor Li held a fondness for Han Li. However, a formal special operations unit launching a surprise attack without prior knowledge would leave Han Li defenseless. In other words, Han Li was undoubtedly doomed this time. Hey, what did you just say? One officer reprimanded another, who had inadvertently leaked information about the Special Forces. Nothing. Damn it, the Special Forces. The police have set a trap. Brother Han is in danger. The second officer, sharp-witted, quickly grasped the situation. What should we do? We change our route and go to support Brother Han. The second officer replied. As his underlings, how can we not come to his aid? Meanwhile, after exerting pressure on the surveillance, Han Li remained restless, feeling an unsettling tension within him. Why is the police commissioner so composed? Suddenly, he sat up, drenched in cold sweat. That tone was too indifferent. Not at all characteristic of a police commissioner in such a situation. There must be something amiss. Caution is the mother of safety. He instructed Yin Fanli to keep an eye outside, while he took Fan Shui to check on the hostages tied up at the back. Traversing the corridor, they found the bound group huddled together, crying out with palpable emotion, feigning terror. "No, I'm still young. Is this program inclusive of meals? I'm quite hungry," remarked Fan Shui. "Is there anything unusual?" Han Li inquired, glancing at the time. It was nearly 5 minutes until the critical moment when the police chief would make a decision regarding the withdrawal of the officers outside. "Yin Fanliang, what is the situation with the officers outside?" "They remain unchanged, not a single movement," Yin Fanliang replied. "No signs of any shift?" This is hardly indicative of the police chief preparing for negotiations. Something is amiss. "They intend to resolve my situation within 5 minutes. Han Li chuckled. Such a casual approach. This is the police chief's gravest oversight. To think they could resolve my matter so swiftly. Indeed. Only a special forces unit could accomplish such a task in an exceedingly brief span. As he spoke, he suddenly noticed the peculiar badges on the workers' chests. "What is this?" "Our work badges," they replied. Han Li swiftly yanked one off, and, upon closer inspection, discovered a miniature locator affixed to the back. "So, this is a cunning ploy." Han Li addressed the workers, "My apologies." The hostages looked on as Han Li approached with a mischievous grin. "Do not come any closer." Once the special forces arrived, they swiftly proceeded in a singular direction, exhibiting remarkable efficiency. One operative glanced at the screen on his arm. The red dots converged in one location. These red dots represented the hostages that Han Li had taken. It turned out that previously, Team Lu had arranged for the workers at the Mint to wear badges equipped with locators, thereby facilitating the rescue operation for the special forces. "How are we looking?" "All in one place. Within 5 minutes, it will be a cinch," the captain responded, confident that this was a trivial matter for the special forces. Moreover, the adversaries remained oblivious to the fact that they had stealthily infiltrated the Mint. "Very well, once we rescue the hostages, we will commence the elimination of the captors." The police chiefs within the command center appeared visibly excited. The most notorious criminal in Huaxiao was on the verge of being apprehended by them. At that moment, the red dots on the screen began to shift, and to their astonishment, they scattered. "What?" The special forces paused, gazing incredulously at the diverging red dots on the screen. A wave of frustration washed over them as they realized the hostages had been separated and were now in different locations. The previously unified group had split into several smaller factions. "Disperse and act independently, maintaining communication at all times," the captain instructed his team. "Understood. Once we rescue the hostages, we will regroup here." The special forces, accustomed to operating solo, each possessed formidable individual capabilities, scattering in pursuit of their respective rescue missions. Along, having spent 3 years in the special forces, felt confident in his abilities. When it came to combat, he had never feared anyone. Thus, he genuinely looked forward to facing Han Li. "We are nearing our destination." Turning this corner, he listened intently, cautious not to charge in recklessly, and retrieved a patrol cart to probe ahead. The area was a storeroom, dimly lit as the cart rolled in. Having navigated all potential ambush routes and confirmed the absence of landmines, Aaron swiftly dashed into the supply room. He untied the hostages. "Wah!" The hostages' eyes widened in terror. "Do not fear, I am here," Aaron reassured them. "Wah!" The hostages were in a state of panic. "Look behind you," one of the hostages exclaimed as Aaron retrieved a cloth from one of them. "What?" Bang! A sharp crack echoed. The formidable special forces operative, Aaron, collapsed to the ground, dazed, showing no signs of resistance. Han Li emerged from the shadows. The hostages gasped in shock upon seeing what he held. A brick. He struck the special soldier with it? Unbelievable. Who would have thought I would one day employ this skill? Han Li mused. You've been given a brick. A surprise attack from behind. Guaranteed success. Coupled with blend into darkness. Invincible. Special soldier? The soldier king has arrived, and you shall all be subdued. The live stream erupted. What the hell? No chivalry in combat. A brick? Seriously? Regardless of skill, one fears a brick. Absurd. Han Li dragged the special soldier, binding him as well and confiscating all his equipment before making his exit. Han Li donned a new facade, disguising himself as Aaron. The aura of a special forces operative naturally emanated from him. With the enhancement of Film Emperor, Han Li truly resembled a seasoned veteran, his gaze sharp. He grinned maliciously. The time for deception is now. Subsequently, leaning against the screen, Han Li reversed his trajectory, disregarding the other special forces members as they went to rescue the hostages. He aimed to infiltrate their base. Han Li surmised that a helicopter must be present. This time, he would seize their aircraft and escape from the money printing facility. The audience in the live stream reacted with confusion. What? Incredible. Looks like President Han is getting us a helicopter. The police chief remarked. Wait, this script is off. Indeed, shortly thereafter, he discovered thick ropes hanging down in the hall, typically used for helicopters. As he looked up, a helicopter hovered above. At that moment, the pilot noticed Aaron on the ground. Already? Below, Aaron waved cheerfully at him. Chapter 198. Helicopter? Hand it over. The helicopter pilot scrutinized the figure below, questioning the return of Aaron. Han Li imitated Aaron's voice, grinning. Damn it. The captain sent me to grab some things. This voice and tone were unmistakably Aaron's. The pilot had no inkling that Han Li not only could disguise his appearance, but also mimic others' voices. The information available to special forces was inherently limited. Once Han Li boarded the helicopter, he casually remarked, "Oh, by the way, I'm not Aaron." The driver was momentarily taken aback. In that instant, Han Li suddenly drew a dagger and pressed it against his throat, threatening, "Behave yourself." The driver's face was etched with terror. "What the hell? Aren't you along?" "You. Shoo, quiet." Han Li shifted the dagger slightly. "If you disobey, I won't hesitate to eliminate you." The audience in the live stream erupted in excitement. "Wow, he's really stealing the base. Damn, he's hijacking the helicopter." The driver thought, "What the heck? This is some intense maneuvering." Feeling the cold steel against his neck, he clenched his teeth, swallowing back his words. Humph. It was merely elimination. At worst, it would be a case of mutual destruction. However, he soon dismissed that thought, for the chilling sensation penetrated his skin and reached his core. To his horror, a large white snake was coiling around his neck, flicking its tongue at him. Terrifying. A snake? Yes, as long as you comply, I assure you, nothing will happen, Han Li stated calmly. The driver was bewildered. "Stay steady." The helicopter hovered midair, and at that moment, Han Li had complete control over it. Just then, from below, Fan Shui, who had stealthily approached, waved at the helicopter. Utterly astonished at Han Li's audacity to hijack the aircraft, "Brother Han is truly impressive." Han Li called out, "What are you dawdling for? Get up here." Earlier, he had devised a plan to seize the helicopter and instructed Fan Shui to notify Yin Fanliang to withdraw from the front lines. With Fan Shui's thorough knowledge of the area, they navigated through secret passages, evading the searching special forces. This was a remarkable turnaround. Absolutely magnificent. Yin Fanliang was astounded. This was the aura of a true leader. Simultaneously, he was carrying a large bag filled with cash, with more following behind. This was all thanks to the assistance of the insect army. Under Han Li's direction, Yin Fanliang utilized ropes to haul one bundle after another of bags onto the helicopter. This certainly saved them a considerable amount of effort. The driver was speechless. He imagined that the special forces would never have anticipated that they had come all this way only to deliver a helicopter. Damn. Yin Fanliang gazed at the bags, his eyes gleaming. Wow, that's a lot of money. Although each bill was only a few dollars, even the smallest mosquito is still meat. Outside the mint, the police inspectors were on high alert, observing the situation from a distance. One inspector, utilizing binoculars, vaguely spotted a figure peeking out from the doorway. Curious, he noted that the figure had maintained that position for over 10 minutes. Perhaps he was waiting for our response. That is probably not going to happen. From the beginning, the inspectors had no intention of contacting Han Li again. With the special forces on their side, they were confident they could eliminate him. Speaking of which, I wonder how the special forces are faring. Just then, a gust of wind unexpectedly swept past the inspectors, then rushed into the mint. Wow, it's really windy today. The officer in charge rubbed his eyes. As he once again peered through the telescope at the printing factory, he was struck dumb. Something was amiss. What happened? It was a trap, he shouted, pointing ahead. The crowd turned to look. There, at the entrance of the printing factory, a mannequin had been blown over by the wind, revealing its true nature. It was merely a dummy? The chief exclaimed in disbelief. Charge in. Han Li is making his escape. Damn it. We've been guarding a mere mannequin all this time. What a farce. The anxious officers rushed into the printing factory, only to find that Han Li and the others had completely vanished. It was utterly empty. What now? Where are the special forces? They immediately contacted the special forces to relay the situation. The scattered soldiers happened to be rescuing hostages from various locations and were currently en route to a designated gathering point. The captain picked up the radio. This is impossible. They have practically scoured the entire printing factory and have seen no sign of the robbers. How could they have made their escape? Captain, we're missing one person. The captain's eyes narrowed as he surveyed those present, pointing them out one by one. And indeed, one was missing, along. Where did he go? Report, we've lost contact. A chilling sensation gripped the hearts of the gathered individuals. Meanwhile, a cacophony echoed through the air, instantly capturing everyone's attention. Is that a helicopter? Listen. It's preparing to take off. The disappearance of Along, the vanishing of the robbers, the peculiar helicopter. Everything seemed to be interconnected. The helicopter. Back to the helicopter. The special forces hurriedly returned to the helicopter's location, closely followed by the officers. When they arrived in the hall, they discovered the helicopter had already begun to ascend slowly, its rotor blades spinning rapidly, preparing to depart. Halt. Pilot, I command you to stop. Fire, fire. Bang, bang, bang. Numerous officers drew their weapons, making a final desperate stand. Yet, all was in vain. Inside the helicopter, Han Li revealed his true face. Crouched and gazing down at the multitude of anguished faces below, he smiled, then raised a friendly middle finger to all the officers and special forces. Until we meet again. Gentlemen. Those below stood in stunned silence, before erupting into a chorus of curses. President Han is quite the trickster. The officers lamented, I've been breached. This is outrageous. The helicopter departed from the printing factory, speeding away into the distance. Where's Han Li? Oh, he is flying away in the helicopter. Damn it. The special forces were furious. How will they return? This news instantly froze the previously jubilant command room. He cannot escape. We have special forces. The officers lamented helplessly. He stole the helicopter. The last line of defense has been breached. This is truly unbelievable. Everyone wailed in despair. Is this really happening? Damn it. I'm done. Let whoever wants to take it. I am utterly taken aback. Who could have anticipated that what was once a flawless operation would hinge upon their greatest reliance, which ultimately became Han Li's point of breakthrough? Alas, Team Lu. We have failed, miserably, I acknowledge. It seems the onus now rests upon me. In the darkness, Lu opened his bright eyes. Chapter 199, Forced Landing. A grave radiating with blue light in the mountains. Han Li piloted the helicopter, breaking through the perilous printing facility, intending to rendezvous with the second-in-command and subsequently trade with the production crew for currency. Ding. Impressive host. Daring to seize a helicopter has rewarded you with the skill. Master of Escape. Master of Escape. What prison? Merely my backyard. I can leave whenever I wish. What a ridiculous skill. Han Li disregarded it. What prison was there? That could wait for another time. Hearing that Han was safe, the others, including the second-in-command, breathed a sigh of relief. Brother Han, how did you manage to escape? Third question, bewildered. A special forces soldier, managing to break free. Remarkable. Han Li replied. I commandeered their helicopter. Inside the printing vehicle, silence reigned, a deathly hush. We should never have provoked Brother Han. We were incredibly foolish. Lamented the fifth. The audacity to seize a special forces helicopter. What criminal could achieve such a feat? Even within the criminal underworld, it was astonishing. Creak. The fifth, seated at the back. Startled at the sound emanating from behind the partition where the printing templates were stored. He was the most timid among them, turning to glance at the trunk, trembling. What was that noise? Fifth, what is going on? It's nothing. Did you say we're out of fuel? Han Li glanced at the pilot, his eyes twitching. The pilot nodded, seemingly having encountered an issue. He assured Han Li that they were indeed out of fuel, even showing him the gauge confirming their dire situation. This was troublesome. The surrounding area was desolate, and any misstep could lead to disorientation. Han Li was not well acquainted with this region. Yet, with the helicopter out of fuel, they had no choice but to make an emergency landing. Prepare yourselves, everyone. We are about to land. The pilot, prioritizing the safety of all aboard, reluctantly brought the helicopter to a halt on a hillside. They disembarked from the aircraft. Yan Fanli, furious, seized the pilot by the collar, exclaiming, Did you do this on purpose? You chose to land in the most dreadful spot. Was it intentional, or merely an accident? Intentional, the pilot answered truthfully. Since they were landing anyway, he figured it might as well serve as a form of retribution against these robbers by allowing them to threaten him. Han Li intervened to prevent Yan Fanli from lashing out further. He commanded the white snake to descend from the pilot's neck and return to his shoulder, where it now obediently coiled around him, having nearly forgotten its original master. Once back on Han Li's shoulder, the snake wrapped around his neck, flicking its tongue and exhibiting palpable joy. You are of no further value. Leaving you here, I assume you possess a signal flare or something of that nature. Han Li remarked. The pilot nodded. Immediately, he retrieved a signal gun and fired a signal, confident that soon the police and special forces would trace the smoke to this location. This place was not far from the Mint, ensuring the driver's safety. Han Li did not linger. He promptly led Yan Fanliang and the others, carrying their bags, towards the base of the mountain. Soon, their companions would come to their aid. On the mountainside, the dense forest was abundant, with mosquitoes buzzing intermittently. To be honest, what astonished Han Li was Yan Fanliang, who moved with the grace of a fish in water, his steps swift. Almost forgetting that he was an expert, he chuckled. This little hill is nothing. The deep mountains of the northwest were 100 times more perilous. At this moment, Yan Fanliang displayed a sense of pride. Simultaneously, he was secretly impressed by Han Li's counter-surveillance awareness. Although Han Li appeared slow and lagging behind, he was quietly erasing their tracks, demonstrating remarkable thoughtfulness. It was no wonder even the special forces could not apprehend him. His awareness was unparalleled. I can't go on. I'm exhausted, he muttered, realizing that amidst the two men, there was also a woman burdened with a heavy bag. Yan Fanliang, feeling a bit shy, took the initiative to lift her burden onto his own shoulder and quickened his pace once more. A true man performs good deeds without looking back. Can you keep up? Han Li inquired softly as he approached her. Fan Shui bit her lip and nodded. I can. Never mind. I'll just carry you. Han Li noticed the skin on her foot was already scraped, as if she had twisted it. This isn't good. Come here. All right. Fan Shui wrapped her arms around Han Li's neck, and as they drew close, she felt an inexplicable warmth and her heart raced. The white snake. You are blushing like a teapot. Hiss, Han Li, that's mine. For some reason, Fan Shui felt that the white snake looked at her as if she were a rival. Perhaps it was just her imagination. In the next moment, Han Li exerted himself, his form as nimble as a swallow, effortlessly navigating the dense forest, his unusual agility rendering even the thickets powerless to impede him. Yan Fanliang was taken aback. How fast? Before them, Han Li seemed to flit among the trees like a bird, an astonishing sight. Along the way, they encountered a few insects, but Yan Fanliang skillfully managed the situation without any issues. Gradually, the sunlight began to wane, and the ground became smoother, resembling a small basin. Han Li crouched down to feel the earth beneath him. He looked up. The sky was darkening. Where are we? Fan Shui sensed something amiss. The surrounding scattered stones gave her an uneasy feeling. Han Li pulled out his phone, discovering that the signal, which had previously been present, was now utterly gone. No signal? Yin Fanliang glanced around and casually remarked, "It's fine. It's always like this in the mountains. Just watch out for snakes. A single bite could be fatal. We'll be there soon." As the sky darkened completely, the once familiar forest transformed into something unrecognizable, foreboding and eerie. Fan Shui, desperately suppressing her urge to urinate, trembled as she spoke. Could there be ghosts? Stop saying such nonsense. The audience in the live broadcast room was taken aback. Those who had just finished their meal were left in a state of bewilderment. What on earth was happening? Just moments ago, they were immersed in an exhilarating crime scene. And now it had transformed into a supernatural show. Even the participants of the program were somewhat unnerved. Goodness, in this deep mountain forest, who could predict what they might encounter? Kan Li, be cautious of what lies ahead, warned a companion. Kan Li, with his keen eyesight, suddenly noticed a peculiar blue light emanating from a certain spot. A blue glow? This was decidedly unsettling. Just as the trio hesitated, an infuriating cacophony erupted behind them. Kan Li turned around. With his eagle eye ability, he spotted clusters of bright lights in the distance. Clearly, a special forces unit was pursuing them from the other side of the mountain. They were coming. In the pitch darkness, Kan Li remained unfazed, but the other two found it difficult to conceal themselves. Thus, he instructed Yin Fanliang to scout ahead. To his dismay, Yin Fanliang returned, cursing under his breath. His face pale as a ghost. "There's a tomb up ahead," he exclaimed. "This mountain holds such a sinister grave, it's terrifying." "A tomb? No, I am not going there." Kan Li chuckled lightly. "We shall indeed venture into the tomb. Surely, the special forces would never anticipate that we would take refuge among the deceased." "You must be mad," exclaimed the audience in the live broadcast. "A tomb robbery?" In chapter 200, they stumbled upon a plethora of artifacts, an extraordinary stroke of luck. Under Yin Fanliang's guidance, Kan Li and his companions entered the woods behind them, where they encountered a tomb radiating an eerie blue light. Beside it stood a stone tablet. "What on earth? How do we end up at someone's tomb?" "Mr. Khan, this is an opportunity to expand our business." Fan Shui trembled in fear at the sight of the ominous tomb, her anxiety palpable. "No, I won't go down there." "Oh, city folks are so delicate. There's nothing to fear about this tomb," Yin Fanliang scoffed dismissively. "Hurry this way." At that moment, the voice of the driver echoed behind them, and the lights drew near with alarming speed. Undoubtedly, the special forces were closing in rapidly. They've caught up so quickly? Yin Fanliang urged them to hurry into the tomb for refuge. "Let us go." Without further ado, Kan Li hoisted the struggling Fan Shui onto his back and, alongside Yin Fanliang, entered the tomb. Upon their entrance, darkness enveloped them, rendering them unable to see. "Ah!" Fan Shui screamed. Kan Li swiftly covered her mouth and nose as a commotion erupted outside. Several soldiers were moving about, seemingly alert to something unusual. "What noise is that?" The Special Forces soldiers instantly became vigilant, scanning their surroundings, but finding no sign of life. "Hey, what is this tomb doing here?" one soldier exclaimed upon discovering it. "Damn it, let us get out of here. Who would want to encounter a tomb in the middle of the night? Only someone with a screw loose would dare." As Kan Li and Yin Fanliang listened to the footsteps gradually recede, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Kan, you truly are a warrior. Even such a tomb frightens me, yet you descended without hesitation. Impressive." It is rumored that the tomb harbors numerous perilous traps, capable of inflicting fatal consequences with alarming ease. Suddenly, Fan Shui produced a candle from an unknown source. In the blink of an eye, the candle was extinguished. This scene sent a wave of fear through the elementary school students, who huddled behind their guardians, peeking out with a mix of trepidation and curiosity. As if every pore on their bodies had opened wide, the production team felt a chill run down their spines. How audacious of Han Li to enter a tomb. The sight was utterly chilling. One could only imagine the terror they felt in that very moment. What was happening? Abruptly, Yin Fanli's face contorted in alarm, his brows knitting together as he raised a trembling hand to point behind Fan Shui, his expression one of sheer horror. "Behind you." Fan Shui slowly turned her head. A shadow emerged. "Oh, stop screaming, it's just a mouse," Han Li remarked dismissively. "Just a mouse?" Fan Shui echoed. "Ha, this is hilarious. City folks are so timid." Yin Fanli laughed. The viewers in the live stream were taken aback. "What is this? Yin Gu is being mischievous. This is too funny." Fan Shui, irate and ready to scold him, suddenly froze, her mouth agape. "Behind you." "Huh, I won't fall for that," Yin Fanli retorted confidently, dismissing the ruse as mere trickery. However, when Han Li also appeared astonished, his expression betraying shock, Yin Fanli's demeanor shifted, his laughter fading as concern crept in. "Could it be? Is there truly something behind me?" A sinister hissing sound emanated from behind Yin Fanli, reminiscent of a serpent. Suddenly, a large glob of saliva dripped onto him, coating his face in a sticky mess. He recoiled in disbelief. This is utterly absurd. Spinning around, He found himself face to face with a python, towering above him. Its blood-red eyes glinting menacingly as it fixated on its prey. Yan Fanli trembled uncontrollably. The audience in the live stream erupted in chaos. Wow, is this a genetic mutation? Is this a crime show? No way. That thing could swallow my head whole. Hangu! Yan Fanli shouted in desperation. Han Li immediately attempted to cast a hypnotic spell on the colossal creature, but to no avail. It didn't work? What now? This is bad. With a swift motion, the python coiled around Yan Fanli, its gaping maw poised to consume him. No. As half of Yan Fanli was engulfed, suddenly, Han Li's white snake sprang into action, darting toward